Chapter 3493. The two of them drank until it was very late before they left. The fatty insisted on bringing Lin Xian to his palace. Lin Xian happily agreed. The group sat on the war chariot. The three-tailed heavenly hound roared and flew quickly in the sky. Finally, they arrived at a majestic palace. Don't look at how the fatty wasn't valued in the clan. No matter what, he was still the young master of the 9 Nether clan. Hence, his residence was truly magnificent. After arranging for Lin Xian to stay in a quiet hall, Fatty arrived. "Bro, do you want me to find you 2 beauties to play with?" "They are all top-grade beauties." Lin Xian shook his head. "No need. Oh, I know." Fatty glanced at Fantasy, who was beside him, with an expression that said, "I understand." "Then I won't disturb you." Fatty hugged the 2 beauties beside him and left in a drunken state. After Fatty left, Lin Xian and Fantasy also entered. They closed the door and activated the array. The drunkenness in Lin Xian's eyes completely disappeared. Fantasy beside him also said, "Palace Master, it seems like our plan was successful." "Yes." Lin Xian nodded. "In the next period of time, I'll get close to Fatty. When the time comes, it won't be a problem for us to attend the birthday banquet. Wait until we meet that living fossil. Then we can think of a way to get in touch with him and have him modify the sacred artifact." Fantasy frowned. "Palace Master, will he agree? After all, sacred artifacts are not ordinary things. They are very rare. Even saints might not have them. If there are no special circumstances, I think that living fossil won't easily make a move. Don't worry, I have a way. I can get him to provide us with materials and metals for free to create a real sacred artifact." Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile as he spoke. Fantasy beside him was very curious. However, she did not continue to ask and retreated to the side. Then, the 2 of them began to rest. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged. He naturally had his ways. He did not know much about refining artifacts, but he knew about alchemy. In the Pill Sage's notes, there was a type of spiritual medicine that could definitely move this living fossil star. The Pill Sage's notes were something he had obtained from the illusionary divine furnace. They were notes written by many Pill Sages. There were a large number of pill formulas inside. Among them, there were some that had miraculous effects. One of them was an elixir that could increase one's lifespan. Lin Xian had cultivated this type of elixir before. However, that grade did not have much effect on the Saint Realm. What Lin Xian wanted to refine this time was a pill that targeted the sage level. Furthermore, it could increase the lifespan of a saint by 100 years. 100 years might seem short, but for a living fossil, it was extremely fatal, because to them, 3 to 5 months was already a luxury. Therefore, 100 years of lifespan was definitely an endless temptation. Lin Xian planned to use this as his trump card. He didn't believe that this living fossil of the 9 Nether tribe wouldn't be moved. However, it wasn't easy to forge a pill that could increase one's lifespan. Not only did it require a high forging technique, but it also required a high forging technique. Not only was the refining process required, but the medicinal ingredients were also very strict. Therefore, Lin Xian had to prepare well. Once he was done, he would be able to obtain a sage artifact in the future. In comparison, he wasn't at a disadvantage at all. Outside the mansion, a few figures flashed and arrived at another hall, reporting to the 3rd young master. "The situation has been investigated. The other party does indeed have that item." A man in black knelt on the ground with one knee. In front of him stood a figure with his back facing him. It was a man in a white robe. He was tall and slender. He didn't even turn his head. "Oh, my foolish younger brother actually managed to obtain that item? What a surprise!" However, he didn't have a chance to turn the situation around. He had to find someone to snatch the item. Yes, the martial artist who was kneeling on the ground like a ghost replied, respectfully. However, he soon looked up and asked, "What if the other party tries to stop me?" "Humph! Kill." A cold voice sounded, and countless spatial cracks appeared in the surroundings. The ghostly figure who was kneeling on the ground had already disappeared. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. In the mansion, there were no lights on Lin Xian's side, but on the other side, the fatty's side was brightly lit. After all, he was a half-sage, so he still had the energy to do that. There were 50 to 60 beautiful women in the room, and most of them were close to the Dao realm. These women were playing with the fatty, and the fatty was drinking and playing at the same time. It was really carefree. Buzz! Suddenly, the void cracked, and a terrifying sword light shot towards the fatty. The beautiful women screamed in fear and quickly fled. The fatty was so scared that his fat trembled. He rolled and smashed through the void to escape. However, this sword strike still left a gash on his back, almost splitting him into two halves. Ah! The fatty roared like a pig being slaughtered. The armor on his body was split open, and his eyes instantly turned red. "Damn it! Someone come! Someone attacked me! Kill him!" There was the sound of something breaking through the air outside, and terrifying energy surged, but soon the sound of fighting could be heard. Obviously, there was more than one killer. "Stupid pig, no one will save you. Hand over the item and I'll spare your life." "What item, damn it?" The fatty stood up and gritted his teeth. The cracks on his body had already healed. Terrifying law fragments danced around him. That assassin was like a ghost, constantly twisting and distorting, hiding in the void. You don't know what's good for you. Since that's the case, don't blame me for taking action. Another piercing sword light pierced through everything and slashed towards the fatty's arm. "Damn it! How dare you have designs on my storage ring? Do you want to die?" The fatty was also angry. It seemed that the other party was after his storage ring. His storage ring contained most of his wealth, and the 3,000 green ancestral gold that he had just obtained today was also here. Could it be that the news had been exposed? Who was it? His brother? No, his brother would not go back on his word if he gave it to him. Then which 3 sages were it? Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth in anger. "Damn it! How dare you have designs on me? I'm so angry." He opened his mouth and spat out a black shadow. It was a hammer that looked like a piece of rotten wood. It looked very ugly, but the moment it appeared, it brought with it terrifying power. It directly shattered the void. That assassin was also sent flying in an instant. "Damn it! Do you really think that I'm easy to bully? So what if you're a sage? I'll still kill you." "Kill." After the fatty threw out the wooden hammer, he threw out a gourd, which released endless black water. It was as if the water of hell was circling around him. Although the fatty was a half-sage, he was still the young master of the 9th underworld tribe. He had many Dharma treasures on him. In an instant, he took out 3 or 4 Dharma treasures. Each of them was extremely powerful, even if the other party's killer was a sage. For a moment, he could not do anything to the fatty. Chapter 3494. But very quickly, another assassin appeared in the void. His terrifying sword of slaughter once again slashed towards Fatty. Fatty activated his weapons to block the attack. He could still deal with 1 Slayer Saint, but if 2 came, Fatty obviously couldn't handle it. Retreating step by step, he could only summon all the weapons to his side to defend himself. But it was only a matter of time before he was killed. "Damn it! Who are you? How dare you kill me? I'm from the 9 Netherbird tribe. If you kill me, the 9 Netherbird tribe will not let you off." Fatty roared crazily. At the same time, he activated his strength and spread it in all directions. King Hell, send someone over for me. Come and protect me. Humph. It's useless. No one can save you today, even if you scream yourself hoarse. The 2 assassin sages attacked mercilessly. 1 assassin sage knocked away the rotten wooden hammer, while the other knocked away the black gourd. At the same time, the two assassin sages attacked Fatty with their killing array. Fatty only had a pagoda above his head. If the pagoda was knocked away, he would not be able to withstand the attack of the killing array. Clang! The pagoda was struck by the sword chi and shook nonstop. The Fatty was also sent flying and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Another few hundred attacks rushed toward him. Fatty tried his best to block them, but cracks appeared on the pagoda. It seemed that it could not hold on. Damn it! Stop it! I'll give you something. Fatty was scared out of his wits. He estimated that his pagoda would be destroyed in a few more attacks. So he took out the 3,000 pieces of ancestral green gold from his storage room and threw it to his opponent. Humph! The assassin sage sneered. It's too late. Go to hell. The terrifying sword of slaughter rushed over like a murderous dragon. Fatty's pupils shrank. Oh no! Am I going to die here? Boom! A golden palm descended from the sky and landed in front of him, shattering the sword into pieces. At the same time, with another move, the slaughter saint was smashed into pieces. Who is it? The other assassin sage was shocked. Is there an expert here? Fatty laughed proudly. Humph! This is the territory of the 9 Netherbird tribe. How dare you come here to kill me? Just wait to be killed. Whoosh! That killer saint instantly vanished into thin air. It seemed like he wanted to leave now that his attack had failed. However, as soon as he disappeared, he was slapped out by a large golden hand. It was a giant golden hand that shattered the void in all directions. Even Killer Saint was smashed into pieces and fell to the ground, his face filled with terror. A figure walked in from outside. You want to leave? Do you think you can? Who are you? Killer Saint's face was filled with fear. He did not expect that the one who attacked was actually a young man. Brother Xian, it's you. The Fatty was also stunned. He originally thought that it was an elder of his 9 Nether clan, but he didn't expect it to be Lin Xian. I was originally cultivating, but I didn't expect that a great battle would break out here. I was just about to come over to take a look when that happened. Did I hurt you? Lin Xian asked. Fatty shook his head. Almost. If I had come a little later, I would have become a wandering ghost. Don't worry. Since you've saved me once, I'll help you this time. Lin Xian turned around and looked at the other party. That killer saint wanted to run, but he was knocked to the ground several times. Eventually, the golden palm pressed him to the ground. Lin Xian asked, Do you want to search his soul? All right. I'll see who's the one who dares to attack me. Fatty gritted his teeth. The next step was to search his soul. The result of the search made Fatty's face turn green. Damn it! He thought that it was the 3 sages of Jubao Pavilion who wanted to attack him. But the result was completely different. It was his 3rd brother. Damn it! It was those bastards from his family. Those people were just bullying him previously. To think that they would want to kill him this time seemed like the news of the 3,000 ancestral green gold had been leaked. Those people were afraid that you would be favored, so they wanted to kill you. Lin Xian said slowly after slapping the killer saint to death with a single slap. The people in the main hall had been killed, and the battle outside had calmed down. Fantasy walked in and said to Lin Xian, Young master, it's all settled. There were also terrifying experts outside, but with Fantasy's help, no one could escape. Lin Xian nodded. Fantasy stood behind him. At this time, Fatty said, Brother, you saved my life again. There's no need to talk about this between you and me. Tell me, what are you going to do next? Do you want to find a hidden place? We'll come out when the old man celebrates his birthday. Damn it, I can't take this lying down. Fatty gritted his teeth, but then he sighed. 3rd brother is very strong. He has many experts under him. I'm not his match at all. So, we'd better be patient for a while. The next few days were peaceful. There was still some time before the old man's birthday. More and more experts came to Alchemy Valley. On this day, Lin Xian found Fatty again and asked Is there a bigger spiritual elixir hall here? I need a few precious spiritual elixirs. What kind of spiritual elixirs? I'll help you ask. Fatty asked his subordinates to ask around, and soon the news came back. He said, "Brother, these spiritual elixirs of yours are really precious. Those big spiritual elixir halls don't have them. But don't worry, I've already found them. They're not in the spiritual elixir hall, but somewhere else." Somewhere else? Where? Battle Sage Palace. Battle Sage Palace. What kind of place is that? Lin Xian was puzzled. Fatty chuckled. "Brother, come with me." Battle Sage Palace was a magical place. It was a martial artist's heaven and also a place for fighting. It was also a place for all kinds of treasures to exchange. There were some unexpected treasures in the market, and even some treasures obtained from robberies and assassinations. It couldn't be helped. Normally, they would be hunted down by some big families, but there was nothing to worry about here. The treasures here were not for trading, but for fighting. Treasures of similar levels were used as wagers, and then the two sides fought. The winner would get the treasures of the other side. The two spiritual elixirs that Lin Xian needed had appeared in Battle Sage Palace before. However, they were in the hands of others. If Lin Xian wanted to get them, he would have to fight with the other side. Lin Xian heard about these things from Fatty on the way here. After hearing it, his eyes flickered. Fight? Aren't they afraid that the gap between them would be too big? For example, a small saint or a holy venerable would appear. If so, wouldn't they have no chance of winning? Brother, you don't have to worry about this. Small saints and holy venerables are not important. Once they appear, they will be recognized immediately. If such people fought here, the news would probably spread like wildfire the next day. They can't afford to lose face. Moreover, even if a small saint appeared, it would be a small saint against a small saint. They wouldn't attack other saints. So, you don't have to worry about this. However, there is definitely a gap. Often, a first heaven saint would fight a second heaven saint. You can only blame it on your bad luck. Chapter 3495. The Battle Saint Palace had a great background. It had a place for battles, and there were more than 10 arenas. Those arenas were either passed down from the ancient times, or they were set up by peerless saints. Even a battle between minor saints wouldn't be able to destroy them. It could be said that there was no need to worry about fighting here. Of course, it was only limited to the arenas. Fighting outside the arenas was strictly forbidden. Otherwise, one would be killed on the spot by the people of the Battle Saint Palace. It was rumored that there were at least 2 minor saints in the Battle Saint Palace. Moreover, it was rumored that there was the shadow of a sacred sovereign behind them. It could be said that ordinary people wouldn't dare to cause trouble here, not even saints. It was obvious that it wasn't Fatty's first time here, so he was very familiar with the place. When his 3-tailed heavenly hound stopped in the air, a group of people came down. After Lin Xian came down, he looked around and exclaimed. When he was at the treasure gathering pavilion, he had heard countless war chariots, spiritual boats, and demonic beasts. But when compared to this place, it was not even half as good. This place was even more majestic and extravagant. There were so many of them that they filled the sky. One could imagine how many experts came to the Battle Saint Palace. Young Master Yin probably hadn't come here for a long time. Fatty's arrival attracted many people's attention. After all, Fatty's identity was also here. He had been locked up in his family for the past few days. Today I brought my brother here. Hurry up and show me your treasures. My brother is going to show off his skills. After that day, Fatty was full of confidence. In his opinion, no one in the first heaven could be Lin Xian's opponent. As long as he didn't meet anyone in the second heaven, there shouldn't be any problems. Soon, someone brought over a list. On it were the treasures that had appeared before and the number of the arenas. Brother, look, the 2 spiritual herbs you want are on the list. Fatty handed over the list. Lin Xian glanced at it and was delighted. Indeed, the 2 spiritual herbs he wanted were on the list. As expected of the Battle Saint Palace, spiritual herbs that were so hard to find were basically extinct in the outside world. But they could be found here without any effort. Arena number 7, let's go. Fatty led the way in front, while Lin Xian and Fantasy followed behind him. They walked toward stage 7. Arena 7 was currently in the midst of a battle. Moreover, the battle was extremely intense. Around the ancient fighting ring, there were many palaces and pavilions floating in the sky. Within the palaces, there were many figures sitting cross-legged. His head was towering. After Fatty arrived, he went to a room as well. They climbed up the ladder and arrived at a palace. Fine wine and delicacies had already been placed on the table, waiting for them. There were also beautiful maids serving them. The moment Fatty sat down, he smiled and enjoyed the food. But when he looked down at the arena, he jumped up abruptly. F***CK, not good. What? Lin Xian asked. Fatty said, damn it, bro, look at the battle below. One of the things that is being held down is the spirit medicine that you want. If he lost, it would be transferred to someone else. What? Lin Xian was astonished and looked carefully. Indeed, he discovered that the spirit medicine was being used as a bet. The person who had bet on it was currently at a disadvantage. Was he going to lose? Not long after, that person was sent flying. He had lost miserably. He had really lost. Lin Xian's expression changed. Fatty also cursed loudly. Then he said, bro, wait here, I'll go and talk to him. Who is it? After a while, Fatty returned. This time, his expression was even more depressed. F***CK, it was actually Third Brother's people. Third Brother? Juyo family's people. Lin Xian was stunned. Then he calmed down. Now that he knew who had the spirit medicine, things would be easier. He looked at Fatty and said, Brother Yin, do you want revenge? Of course I do. I've been thinking about it all the time. However, Third Brother has many experts around him. I heard that he brought many powerful people this time. I'm no match for them. What? Do you want to fight with them? That's right, he's your enemy. Perhaps the thing you want is also in his hands. Naturally, you can't avoid a fight. I have an idea. Do you trust me? Bro, how can I not trust you? All right, isn't he suppressing you? Then he must want to snatch the 3,000 ancestral green gold. If we take out the 3,000 ancestral green gold as a wager, it will definitely attract their attention. At that time, we'll let them use the spirit medicine as a wager. I'll beat up their people. Not only can I help you vent your anger, but I can also win back the spirit medicine. This is a win-win situation. Using 3,000 ancestral green gold as a wager, Fatty sucked in a breath of cold air. This was really a big deal. He said, Bro, it's not that I'm sad for this piece of metal. It's also not that I don't trust you. If it's someone of the same level, I believe that no one can beat you. However, they will definitely send out a second Heaven Sage. At that time, not only will you lose, you might also be seriously injured. Lin Xian waved his hand and smiled. Don't worry, I don't care about a second Heaven Sage. Just do as we say. All right, let's fight. Beat them up ruthlessly for me. Fatty also gritted his teeth and went to prepare. Not long after, the news of 3,000 ancestral green gold as a wager spread. Exclamations sounded. That was the metal used to refine saint artifacts. It was actually taken out. As expected, Battle Sage Palace was not ordinary. In one of the halls, a man in white had a cold expression. 3,000 ancestral green gold. It was Old Sixth. He actually came and recklessly took out this thing. What? Did he want to take a gamble? Third young master, do you want us to make a move? Snatch it while you're at it. The sage beside him smiled. The others also smiled, their eyes shining. Third young master waved his folding fan and said indifferently, Of course. Old Sixth doesn't know what's good for him, so don't blame me for being impolite. His tone suddenly changed, and his expression was a little serious. That day, None of the people we sent to assassinate Old Sixth returned. I'm afraid they have already died. When did an expert come to his side? Moreover, the other party dared to be so arrogant and take out that kind of metal as a wager. This meant that there should be an expert by his side. Just in case, let's directly send a second heaven sage. Yes, I know what to do. An old man beside him respectfully went to prepare. Soon, on the arena, a piece of news spread, causing the people in the surrounding pavilions to be surprised. At the same time, they were incomparably excited. These people were also not ordinary. Soon, they found out that the one who had 3,000 ancestral green gold was actually Juyo Shaoyan of the Juyo clan, and his opponent was actually the third young master of the Juyo clan. This was actually a battle between two clans, and it was a battle between two young masters. Instantly, it attracted the attention of countless people. Damn it, they took the bait. Brother, help me kill them later. Fatty gritted his teeth impatiently. Don't worry, I have the same intention. However, tell them that if they don't take out the nightmare flower, we won't bet with them. Chapter 3496. Third young master. They want us to use the nightmare flower as a wager. Since they want to die, let's fulfill their wish. Let's use the nightmare flower as a wager. Since the other party has taken out 3,000 ancestral green gold, it's not a loss for us to use the nightmare flower. Moreover, we will definitely not lose this time. The people on the third young master's side sneered, and soon someone walked out. When the nightmare flower was taken out as a wager, Lin Xian had already left the stage. When the people on the other side came out, the surrounding people exclaimed, "Heavens! It's someone from the second heaven." They sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Lin Xian, a first heaven sage. It's over, it's over. We made the wrong bet this time. As expected, the gap between us is too big. Sixth brother can't beat third brother. Discussions rang out one after another. Aside from these two parties, the others could also suppress their bets. However, there were very few people who wanted to suppress Fatty from the beginning because they thought that Fatty wouldn't be able to defeat the third young master. Now it seemed that they were right. A first heaven sage against a second heaven sage had no chance of turning the tables. I was wondering what kind of expert you were, but it turns out that you're just a first heaven trash. I'm really not interested. The man on the other side said coldly, "Kid, if you don't want to die, admit defeat obediently. I'll accept your 3,000 ancestral green gold." Lin Xian wasn't angry after hearing that. He said indifferently, "Sure, you can take it away if you defeat me. However, I don't think you have the chance. You're courting death." The man was furious. The armor on his body bloomed with incomparable light, and his entire person became incomparably powerful, like a god fiend. He took a step forward, and his body shone with boundless light, turning into sword chi that slashed forward. The attack of a second heaven sage, the sword chi carried mysterious Tao patterns, tearing the world apart. The others felt their scalps go numb when they saw this. Even those of the same level might not be able to withstand such an attack. Not to mention, the opponent was a first heaven sage. Buzz! Lin Xian pushed his palm forward, and golden flames danced like suns, spinning in the sky. Every one of them was incomparably terrifying. The two of them clashed fiercely in the sky. Every strike contained the power of heaven and earth. If it wasn't for the fact that this arena was an ancient arena that could withstand their attacks, it would have long been torn apart. In fact, half of the world would be destroyed. The flames in the sky were incomparable. Lin Xian stood in the midst of the flames like a god of fire. He looked ahead and said indifferently, "I've said it before, it's impossible for you to defeat me." "Damn brat, don't be so arrogant." On the other side, the second heaven sage let out a furious roar. His face was extremely gloomy. He couldn't even take down a first celestial layer brat. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This young man was not simple. This was a battle beyond one's cultivation level. If one wasn't a peerless genius, they wouldn't be able to do it. Kill. The saint of the second heaven was also enraged. The light on his body was unparalleled. Countless laws intertwined to form a sword of the great path, which fell mercilessly. Sword traversing 9 heavens. The sword light shone like the cries of 10,000 beasts. It had an unparalleled power that could cut through everything in the world. Lin Xian attacked aggressively. His fist swept in all directions. The entire world was trembling, and the ancient arena was shaking nonstop. In the end, the opponent's sword of the great path was shattered into pieces. The saint of the second heaven was also sent flying. "You've lost." Lin Xian's voice was cold. A bloody hole appeared on the body of the saint of the second heaven. He looked extremely miserable. He healed quickly and gritted his teeth. "Bullshit, I haven't lost yet." "Go to hell, brat." An immortal light rushed out from between his eyebrows. It quickly intertwined and formed a palace. The palace that looked like an immortal palace floated in the sky. On top of it, there was an incomparably vast aura that suppressed Lin Xian. "You're courting death. Since you don't admit defeat, I'll beat you until you do." Lin Xian's face darkened. The flames on his body were dancing. They turned into streaks of sword qi that shot into the sky. At this moment, the sword qi swept across the 9 heavens like raging waves hitting the shore. It made everyone's hair stand on end. It was as if they were not facing a saint of the first heaven, but a peerless sword god. Lin Xian's eyes also became incomparably bright. No one could look directly at them. 9 suns opened the sky. He clasped his hands together, and a sword light flew out and slashed forward. Between heaven and earth, the laws kept dancing, and the entire world was quickly collapsing. This sword was much more terrifying than the path sword that the opponent had condensed before. It slashed the sky palace in an instant. With a boom, the sky palace was sent flying. The saint of the second heaven was also sent flying. His body split open, and he let out a miserable cry. "I admit defeat. I admit defeat." He was so scared that his scalp went numb. The others were in an uproar. Did he lose? It was hard to believe that a saint of the second heaven was defeated by a saint of the first heaven. He won. He actually won. I'm not dreaming, am I? Fatty's face was also full of shock. To be honest, he did not have much hope, but he did not expect Lin Xian to be so strong. Dreamy stood there, her eyes shining, and the corners of her mouth raised into a faint smile. She had been following Lin Xian these days, and had long known how terrifying Lin Xian was. She did not think much of a saint of the second heaven. In another hall, the 3rd young master was going crazy. How is this possible? The 3rd young master suddenly stood up. His face was ashen, and he was no longer as calm as before. The powerhouses beside him were also dumbfounded. Damn it, how did that guy do it? Could it be that he has a mysterious weapon on him? Did he bring a sacred artifact? Voices of surprise sounded. If it was a sacred artifact, they could explain it. However, many of the saints' faces were gloomy. They did not see a sacred artifact. Perhaps it was hidden in his body. These people did not believe that he could defeat a saint of the second heaven with his own strength. Below, Lin Xian had defeated a saint of the second heaven and obtained the nightmare flower. She had kept it for him. Great. There's still one more spiritual herb. Then I can refine a pill that can increase the lifespan of a saint. Damn brat, you want to leave just like that? Suddenly, a cold voice sounded from the sky. Everyone turned their heads to look. Then they took in a breath of cold air. It's the 3rd young master, the 3rd young master of the Abyss family. Lin Xian also stopped and looked at the white-clothed young man in the sky as he asked in an indifferent tone, "Oh, you want to stop me? Don't tell me you don't know the rules of the Battle Saint Palace." "Brat, Don't use the Battle Saint Palace to pressure me. I know the rules here, and I will not break them. Moreover, I know the rules better than you. Do you dare to join forces? Consecutive battles. This was also a type of gambling. That meant that if one side lost, they could continue to bet. However, because it was a consecutive battle, the bets were double. If one lost, they would lose double. It could be said that it was very exciting and moving. Therefore, under normal circumstances, it would attract the attention of countless people. Chapter 3497. The fatty jumped out and hurriedly said, "Brother, come back quickly. Don't bet with them. They'll definitely be ruthless." He naturally knew his third brother's personality. He would definitely not let Lin Xian go. "Sixth brother, you're not bad. You actually dare to go against me. Looks like you don't know what's good for you." The white-robed young master stared at the fatty. The fatty's expression changed, and he snorted coldly. "Third brother, you're inferior. Just admit it. Why? Are you trying to play tricks on me?" Seeing the two young masters of the big families fighting openly and secretly, the others were also interested. They wondered how the situation would change next. They all looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. "It's not impossible. Of course. Unless you can take out the sunset fruit." "What? Sunset fruit? What kind of precious spirit herb is that?" Many people were shocked. This young man was really demanding an exorbitant price. The people on the third young master's side also frowned. The third young master snorted coldly. "What a coincidence. I do have one of those things. Kid, you're a man of your word." He flipped his hand and took out a fruit. The fruit was like a sun that was about to set in the mountains, bringing with it a kind of sunset beauty. Seeing the fruit, the others were shocked. As expected of the third young master, he even had such a precious spirit fruit. Lin Xian was also shocked. "This thing is also in the hands of the third young master? Great, it seems like it's really easy to get it. This third young master is really a gift to me. All right, according to the rules, use the sunset fruit and other things as the bet. I'll bet with you. Damn, are you going to play big?" The fatty's mouth twitched. He wanted to remind them, but he was stopped by the illusion at the side. "Don't worry, the temple master will be fine." On the other side, the third young master also revealed a cold smile. "Are you willing to bet? That's good. I promise that I'll make you regret this decision. How did you eat my treasure? I'll make you spit it out 10 times more. I'll go." Another figure walked out. It was a muscular man who looked like King Kong. The third young master looked at him and nodded. "Okay, take 2 more Dharma treasures. You can use them when necessary." Jean Gang took 2 magic treasures and put them away. With a stomp of his foot, he descended from the palace like a god of war. When he landed on the arena, the entire world shook. King Kong, it was actually him. Oh no, this guy is also a second heaven sage, and his cultivation is even stronger than the previous one. Not only that, the third young master must be prepared this time. Vajra must have a weapon refined by the Netherworld clan. That person's weapon would definitely be able to increase the opponent's combat strength. I say, that kid is dead for sure. Brat, prepare to die. As soon as King Kong landed, he roared and rushed over. His entire body was like a bolt of lightning as he charged over. What a powerful physique! Lin Xian's eyes also exploded with a piercingly cold light. He felt his blood boiling as he also let out a cold shout and charged over. As the two of them collided, their powerful auras tore countless large cracks in the sky and earth. Following that, the two of them continued to attack. It was as if 2 bolts of lightning were colliding between heaven and earth. Every strike struck fear into the hearts of the others. Too fast. The two of them were really too fast. It was a pure physical collision. Damn it, is that kid's physical body that powerful too? They were about to go crazy. Impossible. This brat must be wearing some kind of terrifying battle armor. Just wait and see. He is definitely not a match for King Kong. The people on the third young masters sighed, gritted their teeth. After more than 100 exchanges, the two of them finally separated. Blood dripped from the sky and landed on the arena, causing the arena to tremble. That was the blood of a sage, which could pierce through the void. He was injured. The people on the third young masters sighed, sneered. I told you, he's definitely not King Kong's. Before they could finish their sentence, they were stunned because they realized that King Kong was the one who was injured. King Kong's hands were broken. Not only that, but his arms were also full of cracks. How was that possible? The people around them screamed crazily. Where was that kid? That kid should have been beaten up. They hurriedly looked over. He was fine. He was actually fine. That's right. Lin Xian was standing there. The light on his body was still the same. He was not injured. In a contest of physique, King Kong was actually at a disadvantage. That was really unbelievable. King Kong's body trembled. His face was also full of fear. Previously, he was still disdainful of his opponent. However, after exchanging blows, he knew that he had been careless. The person in front of him could not be described with common sense. He could not defeat his opponent, but he would not admit defeat. He gritted his teeth and roared. His broken arms quickly recovered. Then he said coldly, "Kid, you are very strong. However, it is impossible for you to win this battle, because I still have a trump card." After King Kong finished speaking, he took out a weapon from his storage ring. It was a black weapon. The moment that weapon appeared, it brought with it an extremely cold aura. It was vast and mighty. This time, everyone was stunned. Even Lin Xian was stunned. His mind was a little blank. Why did the weapon feel so cold? It was a murderous weapon. Why did it look so similar to the legendary Great Spear of Destruction? Screams rang out in the Battle Sage Palace. Could it be the Great Spear of Destruction? But why was it in King Kong's hands? Although King Kong was strong, he did not have the Great Spear of Destruction. Lin Xian was also stunned. Indeed, when King Kong took out the weapon, he was stunned. King Kong's weapon was indeed 70% similar to the Great Spear of Destruction. However, he was certain that it was not the Great Spear of Destruction because the real Great Spear of Destruction was in his hands. Lin Xian asked, "That should be a replica, right?" "That's right. It was a replica. However, it was a replica that was personally made by an elder of the Nine Nether tribe. Although its power was not as strong as the real Great Spear of Destruction, it was not far off." "Kid, do you think you can win against such a demonic weapon? No matter how strong your body is, can you withstand it?" So it was a replica of the Great Spear of Destruction. Everyone was shocked. However, some of the older experts also nodded. The Nine Nether tribe had made many weapons. Among them, there were many replicas of sacred weapons. They had even made replicas of earth weapons. It was rumored that the Nine Nether tribes still had a replica of a weapon. It was made of extremely precious metal and had taken tens of thousands of years and countless generations of effort to make it. Although it was not as good as an extreme weapon, it was much stronger than an ordinary sacred weapon. This was also why the Nine Nether tribe had flourished for so long and no one dared to provoke them. "You want to hurt me with a mere replica?" Lin Xian smiled. "Even the real Great Spear of Destruction would not be able to hurt me." Chapter 3498. He indeed had the confidence to say such words. However, King Kong sneered. "Arrogant fellow, I'll let you experience the power of this demonic weapon." Wang. Lin Xian took a step forward. Like an ancient god of war, the aura on his body rose without limit. Streaks of murderous sword qi shot out from his body, and the 5 elemental laws turned into divine chains that spun under his feet. His opponent's aura had increased again. King Kong took a deep breath. He knew that he couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to defeat his opponent if his opponent's aura grew. Kill! With an angry roar, he moved the demonic weapon in his hand. Instantly, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The entire space could not withstand the might of the demonic weapon. A black shadow swept towards Lin Xian like a divine chain. Wang! Lin Xian made his move as well. His 5 elemental laws danced nonstop as 5 elemental sword qi soared into the sky. Clang! Clang! The sound of an intense collision rang out, causing everyone's ears to bleed. That terrifying demonic weapon could easily pierce through a saint in the second heaven. However, it was unable to move forward in the slightest in the face of this sword qi. It was beaten to the point of trembling. Even King Kong's perlicue was cracked. This scene was simply too frightening. These nomological sword qi were too powerful. What kind of nomological sword qi was this? He was just a first heaven sage. How could he comprehend the laws to such an extent? At this moment, the older generation sages were all dumbfounded. They found it hard to imagine that there was such a powerful law in the world. Ah! Devils, roar to the heavens! King Kong roared as the demonic weapon in his hand exploded with unparalleled power and stabbed forward. It pierced through the heavens, wanting to pierce a hole through Lin Xian. Throughout the entire process, demonic clouds surged, ghosts wailed, and wolves howled. It was as if this world had turned into a demonic world. Wang! Lin Xian's eyes also exploded with an unparalleled light. He raised his arm, and a clanging sound rang out. It sounded like a dragon's roar, but also like the cry of a sword. A terrifying 5 forms divine sword condensed in his hand. Although it was a sword of laws, it was comparable to a divine weapon. As the sword slashed down, the stars were destroyed, and the sun and moon collapsed. This sword was truly too frightening. Everyone felt as if a peerless sword shadow had flashed past their minds. They were so scared that their scalps went numb. Clang! A world-shaking sound rang out as the demonic artifact was sent flying. The Vajra arm split open once again, making it impossible to catch it all. The demonic weapon was sent flying by the sword aura, and it directly slashed at King Kong, enveloping him. His entire body was split into 2 halves. Saint blood dyed the arena red, and the entire arena in the valley exuded a desolate aura. All sorts of headless corpses and illusions of mountains of corpses and seas of blood appeared in the surroundings. Clearly, this arena had experienced countless battles. Now that it was stained with the blood of the saints, it triggered a phenomenon. Even the replica of the great spear of destruction couldn't suppress him? Everyone was dumbfounded. The people on Third Young Master's side couldn't believe it either. Third Young Master's eyelids were twitching wildly. Damn it, how was this possible? Where did old Six find such a person? He was about to go crazy. Beside him, a saint comforted him. Third Young Master, don't be angry. Vajra hasn't lost yet. He still has a treasure that he hasn't used yet. That's right, he still had the holy battle armor. His current attack power was enough to contend with the enemy. It was just that his defense power couldn't keep up. However, if he activated the holy battle armor, then he would have no weaknesses. As expected, Vajra's 2 halves quickly healed. At the same time, a ball of armor appeared on his body. A ball of black armor instantly enveloped his body, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. As soon as the armor appeared, a powerful aura swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Everyone screamed, "Holy battle armor!" This was the pride of the Netherworld tribe. It seemed like Third Young Master attached great importance to this battle. Not only did he give Vajra the replica of the Great Spear of Destruction, he even gave him the holy battle armor. Brat, you have completely angered me. I will never let you go. You definitely won't be able to break through my defense now. Vajra grabbed the demonic weapon again and charged over. He was like the black demon god, emitting a cold aura from head to toe. Oh no, Brother Xian is really in danger. Fatty couldn't sit still anymore. The replica of the demonic weapon had already made his scalp numb. Now that he had taken out the holy battle armor, he couldn't believe that anyone could turn the tables. Saints below the third heaven might not be able to break this armor. This was already an invincible position in the innate realm. Holy battle armor? Lin Xian's eyes flickered and he sneered. He could clearly feel the terrifying power of that armor. So what? Looking at the figure charging over, he didn't dodge at all. This scene made the others dumbfounded. However, Lin Xian had his own plans. The moment Vajra waved the demonic weapon, he activated stellar transposition. Buzz! The black demonic weapon reversed at an unbelievable angle and pierced Vajra's eyes. A miserable sound rang out as King Kong rolled in the sky, letting out a miserable shriek. Everyone was stunned. Heavens, what's going on? They didn't see it clearly. Vajra was so powerful and was wearing the holy battle armor, but he was injured in one move. What did that brat do? It was too fast. I didn't see it clearly. It wasn't too fast. He didn't even make a move. Damn it, it was so strange. The saints were also terrified. Was this the same as the legends? Wasn't this an immortal technique? They were all stunned. Third young masters, people, were also dumbfounded. This was impossible. They held it in for a long time before they made such a sound. To be honest, they couldn't believe it, because they were wearing the holy battle armor and holding the imitation demonic weapon. Who below the third heaven could fight against them? They couldn't imagine that the holy stone armor only revealed a pair of eyes. However, Vajra seized the opportunity and pierced through the eyes. Furthermore, it was pierced through by the demonic weapon. Was Vajra trying to commit suicide? They wouldn't know what was going on, even if they were beaten to death. Lin Xian ignored them and said coldly, "Admit defeat. Otherwise, you'll definitely die." Admit defeat. Vajra had no choice but to admit defeat. Great, the setting sun fruit is in my hands. If Vajra lost, he would have to pay double the bet. After Lin Xian passed, he put away the sunset fruit. As for the rest of the bet, he gave everything to Fatty. Fatty laughed so hard that his eyes narrowed into a line. "Ha ha ha, brother, this is great. Let's go eat the demon saint's meat later." After winning a large sum of money, they could really afford to eat the demon saint's meat. Do you still want to bet? Lin Xian looked at the third young master with a smile. The third young master and the others were instantly enraged. Damn it, are we being targeted? Damn it, does he really think we're fat sheep? They had never been provoked in such a way before, and they were furious. Fight it out with him. What do you have? Even Vajra wasn't a match for him. Third young master, why don't you let me do it? Just as everyone was silent, a seated figure in the hall spoke faintly. Chapter 30, 499. This person was very confident. If anyone else heard this, they would be shocked. Even King Kong with 2 terrifying weapons could not defeat the other party. Who would dare to boast like this now? However, the third young master and the others were delighted. They quickly turned their heads and looked behind them. There were a few figures sitting behind them. One of them had a smile on his face. He was the one who spoke. "Young Master Long, are you really going to fight?" The third young master was also pleasantly surprised. He quickly walked forward. The young man who spoke was very handsome. However, there were many scales on his forehead. From afar, it looked like a mysterious pattern. The dragon race. This person was actually from the dragon race. If the third young master is willing to bet again, I can place a bet and fight with that person. Great. Hearing this, the third young master smiled. The sages around them also smiled. Young Master Long was an expert from the Dragon Valley. Yes, if young Master Long fights, we will be safe. This person was actually from the Dragon Valley. The Dragon Valley was also here. What were they here for? Were they here to celebrate the birthday or for some other reason? It was not just the Dragon Valley. The 8 Desolate Lightning and the Dark Moon Temple were also here. It seemed like they were up to something. Since young Master Long is willing to fight, I will bet again. The third young master also regained his confidence. He stood up and said in a cold voice, he had made a bet in a row. When the news spread, everyone in the Battle Sage Palace was stunned. He wanted to bet again? Heavens, the third young master was really generous. In a joint fight, the bet would be 3 times the usual. This was not an ordinary 3 times, because the stakes were all extremely precious items, and any one of them would cause countless people's eyes to turn red with envy. 3 times, this was definitely a shocking amount. When the fatty heard this, he was also stunned. Damn, what was his third brother doing? Where did his confidence come from? Could it be that he still had a trump card? Or had he gone crazy? It would be best if he went crazy. This way, they would have 3 times the usual amount of treasures. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Since someone had come to give him treasures, why would he not accept it? Therefore, he still stood in the arena. At the same time, he was curious. Who else was going to fight him? Was it a third heaven sage, or an even more powerful expert? The others were also discussing among themselves. Who was it? Many people even guessed that it was a veteran expert who had made a move. That was impossible. Although they could win this way, they would lose face. That's right, the third young master was someone who cherished his reputation so much he probably wouldn't. Everyone was puzzled. However, they soon saw a figure walking out of the third young master's palace. When they saw the figure, they were extremely shocked. Young man, it was actually a young-looking person who walked out. They were surprised that he wasn't an expert of the older generation. At the same time, they sucked in a breath of cold air. It was someone from the dragon clan. Naturally, they also saw the dragon tattoo on his forehead. It was a purple dragon tattoo. From afar, it looked like a purple cloud with a terrifying aura. Long Zi, it was actually him. Many people exclaimed. Who was this person? Was he very powerful? There were also some people he didn't recognize. He wasn't just powerful, he was simply too powerful. Not long ago, the Battle Saint Palace had a 5-match winning streak, and that was him. What did he mean by the victor of the 5 consecutive battles? Was he the one? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They knew about this matter. Recently, countless experts had entered the Alchemy Valley, so the Battle Saint Palace had reached a peak. Many experts had entered, and a 5-match winning streak had broken out some time ago. Among them, one person had won 5 matches in a row and had caused a huge uproar. They didn't expect it to be Long Zi. If he made a move, there would be no mistakes. That's right, they didn't expect the third young master to be able to invite him. A 5-match winning streak. That kid was definitely dead. That's right, no matter how strong that kid was, he had only won 2 matches in a row. How could he win 5 matches in a row? Moreover, Long Zi was someone from the Dragon Clan. Exclamations of surprise rang out, and the fatty's face became extremely ugly. Damn, it was actually him. How could this be? How did the third young master know him? He really couldn't believe it. Beside him, Fantasy also frowned. Was it someone from the Dragon Valley again? What was this group of people doing here? Lin Xian was also stunned. The first thing that came to his mind was not that the other party had won 5 matches in a row, but that he had been exposed? Were these people here to capture him? However, looking at the other party's expression, it was arrogant, cold, and disdainful. They didn't look like they were here to capture him. He heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the other party didn't recognize him, which meant that they weren't here to capture him. They had other motives. Did the Dragon Valley come alone, or did they come together with the Vermilion Bird Palace? Lin Xian didn't know yet, but he had to investigate this matter properly. I didn't expect to meet an opponent like you in the Battle Saint Palace. I admit that your strength was not bad, Long Zi said coldly. Unfortunately, I had won 5 matches in a row before, so you're no match for me. Also, I won't give you a chance to admit defeat. As long as you stand in this arena, I will make you wish you were dead. Long Zi's methods were very cruel. Anyone who fought with him would either be killed or severely injured. Hearing this, the people on the third young master's side all sneered. After killing this person, there shouldn't be anyone left on the sixth young master's side. At that time, he would still be under his control. Lin Xian also laughed. Are the people of the Dragon Valley still so arrogant? Looks like you haven't suffered enough in the past. I heard that the Dragon Valley had suffered a great loss in the Void Ocean. Later on, you were beaten up by Lin Wudi. Why don't you go back obediently? Instead, you dare to come out and show off? Aren't you afraid that Lin Wudi will come looking for you? Damn brat, you are courting death. Long Zi's face turned ugly. This matter was indeed a disgrace to the Dragon Valley. But who dared to mention it in front of him? Someone didn't know what was good for him. The surrounding people were also stunned. Is this brat trying to provoke the other party? Is he tired of living? What **T is Lin Wudi? He only used despicable means. In a head-on battle, he is no match for the elites of the Dragon Valley. If Lin Wudi dares to come here today, I can kill him with one hand. Long Zi exuded a terrifying, murderous aura. Don't care about Lin Wudi. I will kill you today. Buzz. Long Zi exuded a terrifying, murderous aura, and there was even a low dragon roar. The whole world shook again. This powerful force was even more terrifying than the fully armed King Kong. Chapter 3500. His fists could move, and each of them carried the shadow of a dragon. These attacks were all aimed at Lin Xian's vital points. It was extremely vicious. Lin Xian snorted and clenched his fists. His golden palm carried the laws of the 5 elements, and the roar of a dragon came from his body. He punched out. The sky fell and the earth cracked. At this moment, everyone in Battle Sage Palace was stunned. They had seen the most unbelievable scene. Even the people on the third young master's side were about to kneel down. Fatty also jumped up, his face full of shock, because Long Zi was blown apart by a single punch. That's right, he was blown apart by a single punch. Lin Xian's fist carried an unparalleled power, directly shattering all of the other party's attacks. Moreover, it landed heavily on the other party's body, causing the other party's body to break into pieces. The miserable sound pulled everyone from their dreams back to reality. Then their scalps went numb. What kind of punch was that? It was too terrifying. Why do I feel that even a level 3 saint would not be able to take it? Damn it, how dare you hurt me? I'll kill you. Long Zi roared and quickly healed. The purple dragon scales on his forehead shone with an unparalleled light. Instantly, bolts of lightning burst out from his forehead and filled the sky. The destructive aura sent chills down everyone's spines. Lin Xian snorted and reached out his hand, slapping over. This time he did not hold back. With one strike, he smashed the other party's forehead. Those purple dragon patterns were full of cracks, and the purple destructive lightning that had just gathered was also smashed into nothingness. Boom! Long Zi fell heavily on the arena, causing it to shake nonstop. There were even more cracks on his body. How was that possible? Long Zi was completely suppressed? The third young master's side was dumbfounded. Long Zi's strength was strong, and he had won 5 consecutive battles. He was their hope. But now, this hope was knocked to the ground in 2 moves and exploded with a single punch. The others were also in disbelief. Long Zi was even more crazy. How was that possible? He had won 5 consecutive battles, and he was so strong. How could an ant beat him? Damn it, he fought back. However, what greeted him next was a large golden hand that streaked across the sky, breaking all the bones in his body. Moreover, out of all places, the other party's palm just had to hit his face, causing his entire head to deform. He had already recovered several times, but he was still unable to escape. No matter how he tried to escape, the golden palm would always land on his face. Damn it, I'm going to kill you. Long Zi was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. Lin Xian sneered. Aren't you very powerful? Wasn't it supposed to be a 5-win streak? Didn't you look down on Lin Wudy? Trash, like you can't even beat me. How dare you challenge Lin Wudy? As he spoke, he waved his golden hand, and every strike was earth-shattering. Long Zi was smashed into smithereens. The others were also stunned. Heavens, this was definitely a ruthless person. Long Zi was incomparably sullen. He knew that he had been careless. The person in front of him was very strong. He even suspected that the other party had suppressed his cultivation to deceive him. Damn it, he was at a disadvantage. He had to leave quickly. I admit, before he could finish, he was slapped back. His entire mouth was smashed, and half of his head was smashed. Lin Xian sneered. You're pretty good at holding out. Let's see how long you can hold out. Hold out your sister. Long Zi was about to cry. Damn it, he wanted to admit defeat, but the other party did not seem to give him a chance. This was revenge. As expected, he tried again, but just as he opened his mouth was smashed. There was no choice. Long Zi was extremely sullen, but he had to admit defeat now. His soul roared, sending out an angry soul ripple. Since he could not admit defeat physically, he would use his soul to do it. But he had underestimated Lin Xian. Soul attack? His Tianji divine eyes opened, forming a pair of mysterious eyes that pierced the other party's soul, causing him to scream. This time, Long Zi's soul was heavily injured. Not to mention begging for mercy, he probably wanted to die. Just like that, Long Zi could not even open his mouth to admit defeat. He was beaten to the ground by Lin Xian like a dead dog. He was so arrogant and even dared to challenge Lin Wudy. I thought he was some expert. I didn't expect him to be so weak. This kind of trash dares to call himself a 5-time champion? Lin Xian kicked the other party off the arena, then looked up at the palace in the sky. Speaking of which, is there no one else? Do you want to continue? I think with my strength, I should be able to be a 10-time champion. Third young masters, people were so scared that their scalps went numb. Third young master's face was extremely ugly. To be honest, he was going crazy. Was Long Zi going easy on him? Damn it! Could it be that he was unworthy of his reputation? This time it was not only Long Zi who was embarrassed, but also him. He felt that he had no face to stay any longer, so he said, coldly, bring it back. Let's go. These people directly rushed into the sky. One of the saints took Long Zi away and left completely. I actually won. Ha ha ha. Fatty laughed loudly, not daring to believe it. One had to know that since he was born, he had been suppressed by a few geniuses in his family, including his third brother. They bullied him every time, and he could not beat them, so he could only try his best to avoid them. However, he did not expect that he would gain the upper hand in a direct confrontation with his third brother. Moreover, he had slapped his third brother's face. This feeling was too good. Who else? The fatty started to get cocky as well. Standing in the void, he looked as though he was asking for a beating. However, the entire Battle Sage Palace was silent because Lin Xian's strength was too strong. Did Long Zi go easy on him? They did not dare to believe it. Long Zi must have been beaten to the point that she could not fight back. It seemed that another formidable cultivator had come to Alchemy Valley. They did not know who this young man was. Which sect or family was he from? In an instant, everyone went to investigate, and many people even started to invite him. Lin Xian politely rejected all of these invitations. He took 3 times the bet, then left with Fatty. This time he was prepared to go into seclusion for a while. He had to refine the elixir first. This way, he would have enough trump cards when he attended the birthday banquet. Following that, Fatty, Lin Xian, and Fantasy headed straight for the best restaurant. Then, they used their winnings to have a sumptuous meal. This time, they were eating real demon sage meat. Every bite contained the essence of heaven and earth, and they were about to have a nosebleed. After the meal, Lin Xian and the other two felt that their cultivation had increased. Damn, as expected of demon sage meat. It was indeed terrifying. However, the price was still painful to pay. After the meal, Lin Xian returned to seclusion. Fantasy stood guard at the side, while Fatty went out. Because of this battle, he had become famous. Many people who could not invite Lin Xian began to invite him. In an instant, Fatty's status rose. Chapter 3501. The living fossil of the Nine Nether tribe was a godlike existence in the Alchemy Valley. Everyone knew him. Moreover, his name was known throughout the universe. That was because the sacred weapons he refined were extremely terrifying. Moreover, he was one of the few who had participated in the imitation of the extreme weapon and survived. Whether it was his status or strength, he was unparalleled. Therefore, his 5,000th birthday this time attracted countless experts to come and offer their blessings. Recently, the Nine Nether tribe released a piece of news. Whoever presented the best gift at the birthday banquet would get a chance to make a request like a living fossil. It was said that any request would be granted. Once this was said, countless people went crazy. That was an extremely terrifying master blacksmith. One request from him was enough to make those saints go crazy. In an instant, countless people were making preparations. At the same time, the Nine Nether tribe also welcomed some extremely honorable people. Among them, the eldest young master received a very impressive person. Even though he was the eldest young master of the Nine Nether tribe, he had to lower his head slightly in front of him. "Brother Lei, are you satisfied with your stay these few days?" The eldest young master looked at the young man in front of him and smiled. If Lin Xian was here, he would definitely recognize this person. He was no stranger because this person was the one who had a conflict with him at the Nine Dragon Mountain. It was also the person who wanted her little white monkey. She didn't expect that the other party had indeed been invited by the Nine Nether tribe. That young master Lei nodded and said, "Greetings, eldest young master. I'm living very well. However, are those people really not back yet?" Obviously, he still could not forget about the little white monkey. The eldest young master frowned and said, "We are already looking for them. We are also very puzzled as to why 6 of our tribesmen disappeared into thin air. Don't worry, we will definitely investigate this matter thoroughly." At this point, a murderous intent appeared in the eldest young master's eyes. How could the people of the Nine Nether tribe disappear for no reason? What happened? Could it be that they were killed by someone? How dare someone attack their tribesmen in their territory, regardless of who the other party was? Once caught, they would definitely be torn into pieces. The eldest young master took a deep breath, and the murderous intent in his eyes disappeared. He then said, "Oh right, Brother Lei, there's one more thing. The geniuses from the Vermilion Bird Palace and the Dragon Valley are here too. They seem to want to meet Brother Lei." Young Master Lei nodded. "I also want to see what's so special about the geniuses of the first astral realm." On the other side, Lin Xian also came out of seclusion. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Finally, he had successfully refined the heaven yellow 9 heavens pill. With this pill in hand, he had boundless confidence. "Brother, you've carved it out. Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, you won't be able to make it in time for the birthday celebration." The fatty said anxiously outside. "Okay." Lin Xian nodded. He brought Fantasy and Fatty to the birthday banquet. The birthday banquet was held in the Golden Fire Plain, where the supreme grade spirit veins of the alchemy star intersected. It could be said to be a place where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered. At this moment, the Golden Fire Plains was truly bustling with activity. Saints were very common in this place. There were even little saints who descended from the sky and were invited inside. When he was in seclusion, Lin Xian asked the fatty to help him find out about the situation in the Dragon Valley. The fatty said that the Dragon Valley and the 8-Wind Palace were also here. Moreover, there were many of them. Even the palace master of the Vermilion Bird Palace was here. What were they here for? Were they here to congratulate him, or did they have other motives? Lin Xian really didn't know. However, he was confident that no one would be able to see through his disguise. After parking the three-tailed Tengu and the war chariot, the fatty changed back to his original form and looked at the figures in front of him. The fatty also took a deep breath. He said, "Brother Xian, let's go." The three of them strode forward. As he was from the 9 Netherbird tribe, he was unimpeded along the way. Suddenly, the fatty was stunned and stopped in his tracks. Damn, Sister Yanran is actually coming out to receive him? Wait, could it be that some big shot is here? Having said that, the fatty quickened his pace. Lin Xian and Fantasy also followed behind him. "Sister Yanran, why are you here too?" the fatty asked in surprise. There was a graceful figure standing in front of him. She was dignified and generous, but she didn't lose her ethereal nature, especially her eyes that were like limpid autumn waters. One couldn't help but marvel at her beauty. The fatty transmitted his voice at the same time. "Brother, this is Sister Yanran, also from the 9 Netherbird tribe. She's a genius, and more importantly, she's highly valued by our ancestor." It could be said that she had been by the ancestor's side all these years. I didn't expect her to come this time. I really don't know who she's waiting for. Oh, someone by the side of the living fossil. Lin Xian was surprised. He couldn't help but take a few more glances at the other party. Yanran of the 9 Netherbird tribe also looked over. When she saw the fatty, she also smiled and said, "Sixth brother, you've been very impressive recently. There are rumors about you everywhere. I heard that you've gotten to know an incredible person." The fatty smiled and said, "Sister Yanran, don't laugh at me. I'm not impressive at all. I'm just bullied by those bastards. However, you said that I know an incredible person. That's true. Let me introduce you to my brother." The fatty moved to the side and came to Lin Xian's side. "This is my brother. He's very impressive." Yanran of the 9 Netherbird tribe glanced at Lin Xian and nodded slightly. However, she didn't say much. That was because she had seen too many geniuses these days. Lin Xian was only a sage in the middle stage of the first heaven. He wasn't too conspicuous among the many geniuses. Therefore, she didn't pay too much attention to him. Instead, she said to the fatty, "Sixth brother, hurry up and go in. Oh, right, we're going to see the ancestor later." He had to be careful. The old ancestor had some troubles recently, so he must not provoke him. The ancestor has been troubled. What troubled him? The fatty trembled in fear. "Look at how scared you are. Don't worry, it has nothing to do with us juniors. I'll tell you when I'm free. I still have things to do now. Sister Yanran, I know. Thank you for your reminder." The fatty nodded gratefully. Then he brought Lin Xian and Fantasy in. After entering, the fatty said, "Brother, Sister Yanran has been too busy recently." Before he could finish, Lin Xian shook his head. "It's fine. I don't mind." He knew that the fatty was talking about Yanran of the 9 Netherbird tribe. Her attitude was indeed a little cold. However, he didn't mind. After all, he knew that she had probably seen countless geniuses these days. That's good. The fatty heaved a sigh of relief. Then he said doubtfully, "I wonder who it is that can make Sister Yanran personally come out to receive them." As he spoke, he turned around. In the next moment, his expression changed. "Damn it, it's actually Boss." Lin Xian also turned around. Indeed, he saw a group of people walking over from afar. The leader was a tall man. He walked with majestic steps and an endless, domineering aura. This should be the eldest son of the 9 Netherbird tribe. In other words, the fatty's big brother. Chapter 3502. Eldest Young Master? Lin Xian looked at him curiously and squinted his eyes. Although this eldest young master was very domineering, if one looked carefully, they would discover that he was actually half a step behind another person. In other words, he wasn't the one leading the group. Then, who was the one leading the group? After taking a closer look, Lin Xian was stunned. It's him. Lin Xian realized that the one leading the group was young Master Lei, who had a conflict with him on Nine Dragon Mountain. Is he really that respectable? Who exactly was this person? Other than young Master Lei and his companions, there were other people around who were equally outstanding and had powerful auras. They were from Vermilion Bird Palace and Eight Wind Palace. They were together. F***CK. Who are these people around boss? Fatty was also surprised. In the next moment, he jumped up because he saw that Sister Yanran was also walking forward. Who is that person? Is Sister Yanran waiting for him? Fatty was shocked. Lin Xian also squinted his eyes. It seemed like the other party had a strong background. He said to Fatty, "Let's go." Fatty came back to his senses and nodded. Boss often bullied him, so it would be better if they didn't meet. The further in they went, the better the scenery was. There were various pavilions and palaces, and many experts and sky prides were gathered in groups of 3 to 5 to discuss martial arts. When Fatty arrived, many people greeted him. Fatty waved back, looking like a young master. "Isn't this 6th brother? You've been doing well recently." At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Fatty jumped in fright and quickly turned his head around. Lin Xian and Fantasy also turned around, only to see a group of people walking towards them from the left. The one leading the group had an extremely cold expression. Lin Xian knew this person too. He was the 3rd young master who went against them at the Battle God Palace. There were many martial artists following behind the 3rd young master. Every one of them was an expert and sky prides. They looked at Lin Xian with hostility in their eyes. F***CK, it's this guy. Fatty cursed in his heart, but he still put on a smile on his face. Little brother here pays his respects. Fatty cupped his fists and said, "I thought that you, old 6th, had found an expert and became arrogant. I didn't expect that you would bow to me. I can't accept it," the 3rd young master said coldly. At this point, he turned to look at Lin Xian and Meng Meng, who was beside him. It was as if he wanted to see through the two of them. Lin Xian stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, a faint smile on his face. He didn't care about the gazes of those people. Originally, Fatty thought that 3rd young master was going to attack his brother. He had already thought of what to say, but he never expected that he would be stunned the moment his 3rd brother spoke. The 3rd young master looked at Lin Xian and suddenly revealed a smile. "Young master has good methods. I saw your performance in the Battle Saint Palace, clearly. May I know which clan young master is from? I'm afraid you wouldn't know my family even if I told you." Lin Xian shook his head. 3rd young master did not get angry. Instead he asked, "What brings you to Alchemy Valley? Are you here to celebrate my ancestor's birthday? If that's the case, I think you can accompany me. I can introduce you to my ancestor. Speaking of which, in terms of status in the family, my status is much higher than that of my good-for-nothing younger brother of mine. Young master, why don't you come with me?" Fatty's face changed immediately. Damn, he was trying to poach him. Furthermore, he was trying to poach him in front of him. Brother Xian is my guest. I have other matters to attend to. With that, he pulled Lin Xian and wanted to leave. Oh my, isn't this old 6th? Why are you in such a hurry to leave? At this moment, another voice rang out. This voice was not cold, but very loud. It was as if he was afraid that others would not know that he was here. Fatty's face changed. Even 3rd young master's face changed. A group of people walked over from afar. The person in the lead was tall and strong. He walked with a majestic gait and a proud look on his face. There were even more people beside him. There were even more people than 3rd young master's group. Boss. 3rd young master's face changed. Fatty was also stunned. Big brother. That's right. The person who came was the eldest young master that they had met at the entrance. At this moment, young Master Lei was beside eldest young master, as well as the surrounding sky prides. Eldest young master was in high spirits. When he saw that there were only Lin Xian and Fantasy beside Fatty, his eyes were filled with disdain. When he saw that there were many sky prides beside third young master, a cold look appeared on his face. It seemed that the one who was competing with him was still third young master. Big brother, you're quite early. Third young master said coldly. Eldest young master snorted. How can I be late to the ancestors' birthday banquet? Moreover, I've brought along a guest to introduce to the ancestor. A guest? Third young master looked at the people behind eldest young master. His eyes flickered. They were similar to his group. Other than the local experts of Planet Alchemy, there were also experts from Vermilion Bird Palace and 8 Wind Palace. Among them, there was one person who surprised him. He realized that the person seemed to be standing in front of eldest young master. Who is this person? Doesn't he know the rules and wants to steal the limelight? Eldest young master said proudly. Third young master, let me introduce you. This is young Master Lei. Young Master Lei. Third young master's face changed instantly. He seemed to have thought of something as his eyes turned strange. He quickly bowed. So it's young Master Lei. I've heard of young Master Lei for a long time. Now that I've met you, you're indeed more elegant than the rumors. You're too polite. Facing third young master. Young Master Lei only nodded his head slightly. The sages beside him were displeased. However, third young master sent a telepathic message, and those people were shocked. They looked at Mr. Lei with great shock. Brother, let's go. While eldest young master and third young master were confronting each other, Fatty pulled Lin Xian and the rest and left quietly. There were still 3 days to the birthday banquet of the living fossil. Therefore, Su Chen and the rest had time to play around. After a day, the golden fire plains became even more lively. At this moment, countless people were gathering in one place. Lin Xian and the rest were interested. They asked around and realized that there were people sparring over there. Sparring? Fatty's eyes lit up. Then he said, there's a good show to watch. Brother, let's go and take a look. The group of them also walked forward. He saw that there were indeed people sparring. In front of them, Tao patterns filled the air and energy surged. However, they were well controlled. Not a single bit leaked out or destroyed the surroundings. There were only cracks in the void. The people sparring were all experts. Their control of energy was extremely precise. In the pavilion, Lin Xian saw eldest young master, third young master, and the rest at first glance. Obviously, they were the ones in charge. The other young geniuses were sparring. Sixth young master, you're here. Third young master's eyes were good. He immediately saw Fatty in the crowd. Chapter 3503. With a cry of surprise, the crowd made way for him. He was also a young master of the 9 Netherbird tribe. The Fatty had no choice but to brace himself and walk forward. The eldest young master laughed. Sixth brother, you came at the right time. I heard that you know a young supreme talent who defeated the expert from the Dragon Valley who had 5 consecutive victories at Battle Sage Palace. Where is he? Ask him to come out and let us see him. As soon as these words came out, everyone revealed a look of surprise. The expert, who had won 5 consecutive championships at Battle Sage Palace, was definitely a terrifying expert. It was hard to believe that someone could defeat him, especially someone who was with the 6th young master. It was hard to believe, especially those from Gold Refinery. They knew that the 6th young master of the 9 Netherbird tribe did not have many experts around him. He was often beaten up by his brothers in the tribe. The Fatty's face changed. He could only look at Lin Xian. He had to ask for Lin Xian's opinion on this matter. Lin Xian also looked at the fatty and gave him a calm look. He said, I don't dare to call myself a peerless supreme talent. However, the person who defeated Long Zi is indeed me. It's you. The eldest young master was shocked and looked at Lin Xian. Previously, he had seen this person beside the sixth brother. However, he did not pay much attention to him. He did not expect it to be this person. The third young master chuckled. That's right, big brother. It was this young master who was extremely powerful at that time. He could tell that he could not rope in Lin Xian. Since that was the case, he would not let Lin Xian off easily. After all, Lin Xian had embarrassed him that day. He had to get rid of Lin Xian. Now he wanted to make use of his big brother to get rid of Lin Xian. Many of the people on the eldest young master's side looked at Lin Xian. Even young master Lei looked over in surprise. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with young master Lei? The eldest young master asked. Young master Lei's eyes flickered. This person looked familiar, but he could not recall where he had seen him before. The others were whispering. Is he the one who defeated the expert, who had 5 consecutive victories? He doesn't look like much. His cultivation is only at the middle stage of the first heaven. Is he really as powerful as the rumors said? These people all had a doubtful attitude. The fatty could not stand it and snorted. Why? You don't believe me? Let me tell you, this brother of mine is extremely powerful. If you don't believe me, come out and try. Fatty had a fiery temper. He had been despised for so long, so today he had to hold his head high. Is that so? Did he brag about how powerful he was? It seemed that he was only SOO. Just at this moment, a sinister laugh rang out. Who was it? You're speaking so sneakily. Since you're not convinced of my brother's strength, then come out and show me your true strength. Fatty shouted coldly. Of course, I don't want to submit to him. But no matter what, this is still your 9 nether clans' territory. If I don't have your 6th young master's face, I'm afraid my end will be very miserable. That voice rang out once again. It was clear that the other party was somewhat fearful. Hee, there's no need to worry about that. The 3rd young master said with a smile. Today's sparring session was held for the sake of exchanging pointers. We won't use our status as members of the 9 nether tribe to oppress others. You don't have to have any scruples. As long as someone uses the identity of the 9 nether clan to oppress you, I will deal with it impartially. I think Big Brother shouldn't have any objections. Yes, 3rd brother is right. All the duels today must be fair. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that the rumors were true. This 6th young master wasn't well liked in the family. In the void, that voice laughed again. All right, since the 1st young master and 3rd young master have guaranteed it, then I won't hold back. Today, I want to experience for myself just how powerful this legendary peerless genius really is. Buzz. The void rippled and a figure walked out. It was a man who looked like a middle-aged man. He wasn't tall, but he was very muscular. The moment he appeared, he gave off a biting cold aura. Especially his gaze, it was too sharp. It was actually the 7-star sword saint. The people around all cried out in alarm. This was going to be fun. Yes, they didn't expect it to be the 7-star sword saint. His 7-star sword was the best in the world. This is also a 2nd heavenly layer sage. That's right. Rumor had it that when Long Zi obtained her 5 consecutive victories, the 7-star sword saint was already preparing to rush to the battle sage palace. However, he was a step too late. When he arrived, Long Zi had already left. Hence, the 2 of them didn't fight. Now that someone had defeated Long Zi, he would naturally look for that person. They all looked at Lin Xian. They didn't know if this kid was as powerful as the rumors said, or was he just lucky and undeserved fame. Let's wait and see. We'll know soon enough. If he was weak, he would probably be killed by the 7-star sword saint on the spot. Kid, I won't bully you. You make the first move. The 7-star sword saint pulled out his 7-star sword. The long sword was inlaid with 7 stars. It was incomparably dazzling. It swayed slightly, and the sword light shone in all directions. The void couldn't withstand it. It was a good sword. Lin Xian squinted his eyes and nodded slightly. However, he didn't make the first move. Instead, he said calmly, "You're the challenger. You make the first move. Also, do you need me to give you 3 moves?" The surrounding people were in an uproar. Giving him 3 moves. "Kid, do you know who you're facing? He's too young and doesn't know his place. He's probably dead this time. Humph. He's courting death." The 7-star sword saint's face darkened. He didn't say anything and directly swung his sword. The long sword carried the laws of heaven and earth. It poured down, and a terrifying aura spread in all directions. Everyone sighed. The 7-star sword saint attacked with all his strength. He didn't give Lin Xian any chance. Buzz! Lin Xian shifted his position and pulled out a phantom to dodge the first attack. The terrifying murderous intent shattered the place where he was. The buildings around him weren't affected at all. One could imagine how precise the 7-star sword saint's control was. The 7-star sword saint attacked again after his first attack missed. It swept out like a Milky Way. Lin Xian pulled out another phantom and quickly dodged. The surrounding people were surprised. What an exquisite body technique. He could actually dodge 2 attacks from the 7-star sword saint. The 7-star sword saint roared, "Kid, you're sneaking around. Don't you dare to fight back?" "As you wish." Lin Xian stomped his foot and didn't retreat. He faced the 7-star sword saint's 3rd attack. This attack was even more terrifying. The 3 stars on it had already lit up. It was enough to split the sky. Clang! Sparks flew. The place where the 2 were directly turned into a black hole. However, the 2 of them controlled it very well. Not a trace of energy leaked out. The surrounding people were amazed. However, when they took a closer look, their eyeballs almost fell out. They saw Lin Xian standing there. He stretched out 2 fingers and clamped the blade of the 7-star sword. He blocked the 3rd attack with just 2 fingers. These people felt that they were going crazy. How was this possible? It was indeed a good sword. Lin Xian held the blade with his fingers and looked at it carefully. He nodded slightly. The 7-star sword saint's face changed drastically. What a terrifying power. It was as powerful as the rumors said. He didn't dare to be careless. With a roar, the 4th star lit up. The power of the 7-star sword in his hand erupted again. Chapter 3504. The 7-star saber saint was shocked. This power was very strong, which surprised him. He did not dare to be careless. He roared, "Open!" The 4th star lit up, and the power of the 7-star saber in his hand exploded again. The 7-star saber was a very terrifying weapon. Every time a star lit up, its power would increase. At this moment, the 4 stars lit up, and the power was much more terrifying than before. Sure enough, in an instant his strength increased. He pushed Lin Xian's fingers away and then chopped down forcefully. Lin Xian was slightly surprised, but he did not care. He slapped over. With a clang, it collided with the 7-star saber again. Countless sparks flew. Lin Xian did not move. The 7-star saint kept retreating. He broke through the void, and his hand moved again. "It's useless. Just use your ultimate move," Lin Xian said indifferently. "Otherwise, it's not enough. Good boy. I'll let you see my ultimate move." The 7-star saber saint was furious. He realized that the other party was really strong, and he had to treat it with his full strength. The 7 stars on the saber in his hand lit up. The 7-star saber saint was extremely strong at this moment. 7-star slash of the Big Dipper. The saber slashed out like the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. It said that the laws of heaven and earth were too terrifying. Among the saints in the 2nd heaven, not many could block this saber. Lin Xian's expression became serious. This saber had piqued his interest. He stretched out his palm. The golden hand, combined with the 5 elemental laws, seemed to have turned into a giant dragon, grabbing forward. The palm was like a dragon's head, biting the 7-star saber. Then his arm shook like a giant dragon, swinging its tail. The violent power tore the 7-star slash of the Big Dipper apart. Buzz! Buzz! The 7-star saber saint was forced back. His face was filled with disbelief. At this moment, the 5 elemental laws rushed out from Lin Xian's body, forming 5 stars in a row. The terrifying power was like a sky curtain enveloping the 7-star saint. The 7-star saber saint waved his saber like crazy, but he was suppressed. The whole process seemed slow, but the 2 of them attacked very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the outcome was decided. Everyone was stupefied. The 7-stars blade saint was actually suppressed. This was simply unbelievable. The 7-star saber saint was an extremely terrifying existence. In alchemy gold, his reputation was very strong. At this moment, he actually couldn't beat a young junior. I lost. After struggling for dozens of times, the 7-star saber saint had no choice but to admit defeat. Lin Xian asked. He was thoroughly convinced. He was sincerely convinced. The 7-star saber saint was helpless. He simply could not break through the 5-star alignment. Lin Xian withdrew the 5-star alignment and stood with his hands behind his back. Fatty jumped out and laughed heartily. 7-star saber saint, thanks for letting me win. The 7-star saber saint's face turned ugly. He turned around and left. He was too ashamed to stay here. Fatty continued. Who else wants to test my brother's skills? Go ahead, it's absolutely fair. Many saints around were silent. Even the 7-star sword saint had been defeated in an instant. It would have been difficult for them to succeed if they had stepped up. Since no one wanted to challenge him, Lin Xian changed back. Next, the other saints went up to spar. It was also very exciting. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Fatty stood at the side and introduced each saint to Lin Xian. Among them, the experts from the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8 Desolate Valley made a few moves, causing countless people to exclaim. The eldest young master and the 3rd young master revealed a smug smile. These people were now following them. Among them, young master Lei had been sitting there silently. His eyes were filled with endless arrogance. It was as if the sparring around him was not worthy of his attention. His expression finally caused the dissatisfaction of a saint. That saint stood out. Young master, why are you so disdainful? Are you looking down on me? Come out and fight. It's the sunset saint. Many people exclaimed. When that saint walked out, he was surrounded by the image of the setting sun. It gave people a very desolate feeling. Everyone was sorrowful. It was as if they wanted to end their lives. What a terrifying Tao of heaven and earth. It could actually affect the mood of others. Lin Xian was also greatly surprised. The Tao of heaven and earth was not ordinary. Among them, many sages sneered. They were also very dissatisfied with young Master Lei. Young Master Lei's expression was as if he did not take them seriously. What was there to be arrogant about? However, the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and 8 Desolate Palace all shook their heads and sneered. These people dared to provoke young Master Lei. They were really courting death. Young Master Lei was drinking his spiritual wine as he cast aside the sunset saint and snorted. Trash, like you are not a match for me? What did you say? The sunset saint was instantly enraged. No matter what, he was still a veteran saint. Moreover, he was a second heaven saint. No matter how strong the other party was, he was just a young man. At most, he was a second heaven saint. He had never lost to anyone of the same level. How dare the other party call him trash? The setting sun on his body became even more desolate. A wave of sadness surged from his body and swept towards the front. Instantly, the people in that direction could not help but cry. That desolate aura made them feel hopeless and even broke down. Humph! Young Master Lay snorted. Coldness appeared in his eyes. How dare you attack me? You are courting death. Who is going to teach him a lesson for me? Although he was furious, he had no intention of attacking. Instead, he said to the people beside him, "I'll go." At this moment, a figure beside him stood up. It was another young man. He had short hair and was carrying a huge bow on his back. The huge bow was ancient, and there were even cracks on some parts of it. It was obvious that the bow had been around for a long time. It was definitely passed down from the ancient times. After he came out, he stared at the sunset saint and sneered. "Old man, how dare you go against my young master? You are overestimating yourself. You will have to get past me first." As he spoke, he held the huge bow on his back. "Humph! How dare you look down on me? You want a servant to do it?" The sunset saint snorted. "Endless sunset." He immediately attacked. Terrifying laws formed a sunset realm. A setting sun appeared and shrouded the surroundings. Everything there was in despair. The short-haired young man snorted. Terrifying Tao patterns appeared on his body one after another to resist the feeling of despair. At the same time, he pulled the huge bow in his hand. "Today, I will let you experience the power of the skyward bow." Virum! With a boom, the skyward bow vibrated and let out a loud sound. An arrow flew out and pierced through the world of despair, heading towards the setting sun. It collided with the setting sun, causing heaven and earth to tremble. The sunset saint's body shook. His expression changed, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with horror. "Damn it! I will kill you!" The sunset saint roared. How dare a servant of the other party go against him? Merciless sunset. The setting sun rotated, and an even more terrifying aura of despair spread out. Chapter 3505. You're courting death. "Old man, I'll make you despair today." The short-haired young man laughed maniacally as he unleashed his power mercilessly. He pulled the skyward bow to its fullest. This time, the law on his body formed 3 arrows that flew out one after another. They pierced through the sunset sun bang. The law was broken. The sunset sun saint spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground in shock. How could this be? He was going crazy. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air, especially the sages from Venus. Their faces were full of shock. Isn't he too strong? Is he just a follower of young Master Lay? Then how strong is young Master Lay? They didn't dare to imagine. The short-haired young man kept the skyward bow and sneered. Who else is not convinced? This scene was very similar to what happened to Lin Xian. It was a suppressive scene. No one dared to raise their heads. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Interesting. This group of people is not ordinary. However, he didn't plan to make a move yet. Just then, a faint voice came from the sky. "Let me do it." A voice sounded between heaven and earth. Then a figure walked in. This person looked very young. He was wearing a black cloak. He took a step forward and appeared in the middle of the field. Who is this person? The surrounding people discussed. Even the sunset sun saint was defeated. Obviously, the person who wanted to make a move had to be stronger than the sunset sun saint. However, the sunset sun saint was very famous. Everyone knew those who were stronger than him. However, this newcomer looked unfamiliar. No one knew who he was. Thus, everyone began to discuss spiritedly. Lin Xian, on the other hand, gasped in surprise. He sat up straight and stared at the figure in the black cloak with a look of interest. The fatty beside him asked, "Brother, do you know this person?" Lin Xian shook his head. "I don't know him. However, this person's aura is not ordinary." The fatty looked at him seriously for a long time, but still couldn't figure out what was so special about him. "You?" The short-haired young man with the skyward bow looked at the man in the black cloak with disdain. However, the man in the black cloak didn't even look at him. Instead, he looked into the distance. Lei Qianzhong, do it yourself. It's useless to send a piece of trash. Everyone was shocked. Was the other party talking to Mr. Lei this time? As expected, the eldest and third young master's eyelids twitched wildly. The short-haired youth was even more furious. You actually dare to speak to my young master like this? Die for me! As he spoke, he once again shot out the skyward bow. The nomological laws on his body condensed, forming 3 bows and arrows that rushed over. It was this move that had defeated the Sunset Saint. At this moment, this killing move caused the surrounding people to exclaim in surprise. However, the black-cloaked man did not seem to care. He pulled out a dark green saber from the void. The long blade was broken in the middle, and the remaining parts had many cracks. This feeling was very similar to the skyward bow. The cloaked man held the black forging knife in front of him. Boom! Boom! The 3 arrows slammed into the saber with a deafening sound. The violent laws of heaven and earth seemed to be able to devour everything. However, that broken saber was like a mountain, a wall that blocked all the laws. Then, the black-cloaked man waved his broken saber, and a dark green beam of light cut through the sky and earth, splitting apart the laws in front of him. Then it slammed into the skyward bow. With a boom, the skyward bow was sent flying. The short-haired youth was also sent flying. There was a saber mark on his body that had almost cut him in half. I'm in a good mood today. I don't want to kill anyone. Get lost. Lei Qianzhong, you really don't want to fight? The same calm voice was heard. Everyone's expression changed. This person was too strong. He defeated the skyward bow with 1 slash. One had to know that the skyward bow had defeated the Sunset Saint. His strength was unimaginable, but now he was easily defeated by someone. Who was this black-cloaked man? Was he a 3rd heaven saint? They did not dare to imagine such a young 3rd heaven saint. The fatty at the side sucked in a breath of cold air. Damn, this person was too strong. Suddenly, he remembered Lin Xian's words and turned to look at Lin Xian. Sure enough, Lin Xian's expression was grave as he stared at the figure. Lin Xian was shocked. This person was strong. He was the strongest young man he had seen so far. Who was this person? Did he come from the same place as young Master Lei? It seemed like they knew each other. The 3rd young master and the 1st young master frowned even more, especially the 1st young master. Young Master Lei was an important guest he had invited. His status was unmatched. Now, someone dared to provoke him. His expression changed. He wanted to scold, but was stopped by Lei Qianzhong. Lei Qianzhong looked forward and said coldly, I didn't expect you to follow me here. Did you come here for me? The black-cloaked man laughed. You think too highly of yourself. I'm here to pick geniuses for the sacred city. Lei Qianzhong's expression turned ugly when he heard this. Damn it, this person's goal was the same as his. The surrounding people were in an uproar. What kind of place was the sacred city? Also, this person was here to pick geniuses. Everyone here was from the top families, who would abandon their own sect and family to join another force. That was unbelievable. Since you're here, those guys should be here too, right? Damn it. Lei Qianzhong's expression turned ugly. He then said, You're crazy. If you want to fight, go find someone else. I'm not interested. Was he not interested, or did he not dare? The black-cloaked man sneered. If you don't dare, just admit defeat. Don't use other excuses. Humph. Yuan Mo, don't be too arrogant. Do you really think I don't dare to fight you? It's just that I have other things to do. I don't want to fight you. Lei Qianzhong said coldly. He had no intention of fighting from the beginning. The surrounding people were discussing. Why didn't he fight? Was he afraid? Not necessarily. Maybe there were other reasons. The crowd guessed. The 1st young master's expression turned ugly. Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. Coward! What did you say? Lin Xian's voice wasn't loud, but it was heard by the other side. The first young master's face turned dark. Old Six, keep your people in check. The fatty's expression changed. He didn't expect his boss to hear his complaints. At the same time, he felt bitter. There were many people talking, but Lin Xian was targeting him. He couldn't do anything about it. He could only give Lin Xian a look. Lin Xian shook his head. What? Am I wrong? If he's not a coward, why wouldn't he fight? It's fine if he's not as strong as others, but he's looking for excuses. If that's not a coward, then what is? Lin Xian's words sent chills down everyone's spine. This young master Lei's identity wasn't ordinary. Even the Grand Dukes of the Nine Netherbird clan had to treat him with respect. Such a person's identity must be terrifying. This young man dared to provoke him. Was he tired of living? Chapter 3506. Kid, you're courting death. What do you know? Who are you to talk about our young master Lei's matters? The man with the skyward bow shouted coldly. Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. Trash, like you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. Didn't you get defeated in one hit too? Die. The short-haired young man roared crazily. He was defeated in one hit, but Lin Xian was only a level 1 martial artist. Lin Xian was just an ant in front of him. How dare someone like him provoke him? He gripped the skyward bow once again and formed an arrow. The arrow was imbued with terrifying murderous intent as it lashed out at Lin Xian. Buzz! A ray of light flashed in the sky, and everyone felt their scalps go numb. The short-haired young man had failed, but that didn't mean that he was weak. The man in the black cloak was just too strong. One should know that the short-haired young man had easily defeated the Sunset Saint. How strong was the Sunset Saint? Everyone knew that clearly. Hence, when they saw the short-haired young man attack again, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. They knew that the short-haired young man was dead meat. They wondered where the 6th young master found such a reckless person this time. That's right. Did he think that he could show off after defeating Longzi? The short-haired young man was definitely not someone he could fight against. The fatty's face changed. Brother, you're in big trouble this time. Run. However, Lin Xian didn't run away. He even showed a look of disdain. Fight with him? He reached out his hand and grabbed the arrow. At the same time, he executed the stellar transposition. The arrow flew back with an even more bizarre and terrifying force. Buzz! Boom! There was a flash of light, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. The great path of heaven and earth was moving. The short-haired young man screamed as a bloody hole appeared on his shoulder. What's going on? The surrounding people went crazy. The short-haired youth was actually injured. Moreover, he was injured by his own attack? How is that possible? What happened just now happened in an instant. Those people didn't even see what happened. Only the man in the black cloak looked surprised as he stared at Lin Xian. Interesting. His lips curled up into a smile. On the other side, the eldest young master's side was quiet. They could not believe that the short-haired youth had been injured by someone. Fatty's mouth was wide open. Holy sh*T, am I dreaming? He knew that Lin Xian was very strong, but he didn't expect Lin Xian to be this strong. Damn it! How dare you hurt me? I'll kill you! The short-haired young man roared madly. At the back, young Master Lei's face was extremely cold. Lin Xian laughed. I already said that you're just an ant. You're not my match at all. Let your young master fight. If your young master doesn't mind your life or death, I can send you to the Yellow Springs. After speaking, Lin Xian no longer paid any attention to the other party. Instead, he looked directly at Lei Qianzhong. Lei Qianzhong's expression was extremely ugly. Since when did a first-layer saint dare to be so arrogant in front of him? One had to know that his identity was extremely unusual. Didn't the 9 Netherbird clans' young master, Vermilion Bird Palace, and 8 Direction Palace all want to follow him? A first layer saint was no different from an ant in front of him, but now an ant dared to challenge him. Looks like it's time for him to show his true strength. He waved his hand, stopping the short-haired young man, and said, "Come back." As he spoke, he stood up. As he stood up, the short-haired young man was stunned. However, he soon revealed a cold smile. "Kid, let my young master fight. You're dead for sure." The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Is young master Lei really going to fight? The eldest young master, Vermilion Bird Palace, and 8 Direction Palace's people were also shocked. Looks like young master Lei is really angry. Very well, kid. You've successfully angered me. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lei Qianzhong walked out and coldly stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian also stood up and walked forward. His lips curled up into a cold smile. You really dare to come out and fight? What a surprise. Before, when an expert challenged you, you said that it wasn't convenient for you to fight and that you didn't want it. Why are you willing to fight now? That means it's not that it wasn't convenient for you to fight, but that you were afraid and didn't dare to fight. What's wrong with me calling you a coward? When these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. The black, cloaked man's expression became very interesting. Very interesting. Lei Qianzhong's expression was extremely ugly. Damn it, the opponent actually set up a trap. The others discussed crazily. Indeed, before, Lei Qianzhong was unwilling to fight even if he was beaten to death. Now he was actually going to fight. Doesn't this mean that Lei Qianzhong is afraid of the black, cloaked man? Even the eldest young masters, people were shocked. Who is this black, cloaked man? Can he really make Lei Qianzhong afraid? What a sharp-tongued kid. I wonder if you'll still be so eloquent when you're tortured by me and suffer a fate worse than death. Lei Qianzhong's voice was filled with boundless killing intent. He was really angry. He must tear this despicable kid in front of him into pieces. He raised his hand and pointed his finger. A ray of lightning flew out like a real dragon, whistling in the sky. This time, the Tao of heaven and earth was too terrifying. It carried an aura that could destroy everything, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. Heavens, this young master Lei is really strong. They thought he had an undeserved reputation. But now it seems like that wasn't the case. The surrounding saints were scared out of their wits. Because this casual attack was even more terrifying than the attack from the skyward bow. This young master Lei is definitely not simple. Humph, you dare to slander my young master. Die obediently. At the back, the short-haired youth and the others sneered. They had full confidence in their young master. Lin Xian also revealed a look of astonishment. This time it was much more powerful than when he had clashed with the other party on Nine Dragon Mountain. It seems like the opponent didn't use his full strength before. That's fine, I'll play with him. With a roar, a golden fist smashed out, carrying an unparalleled aura. Boom! The fist smashed into the finger light, emitting a brilliant light. The 2 Taos of heaven and earth clashed in the sky, tearing the 9 heavens apart and creating countless black holes. Then they both dissipated. Lin Xian laughed heartily. Is this all you've got? It's only SOO. It doesn't match your status at all. Could it be that your reputation is undeserved? Everyone was terrified. What's wrong with this person? This saint of the first heaven actually had such strength. Heavens! Could it be that he was hiding his strength before? Chapter 3507. They were all going crazy. This was too unbelievable. Lei Qianzhong was also going crazy. How could his opponent block his attack? He was a genius and had no problem fighting above his level. Moreover, he didn't care about the people in this star field. But now, there was someone with a lower cultivation than him who could block his attack. In an instant, he remembered that there was someone who challenged him on Nine Dragon Mountain. That person was also a first layer realmant. Now, there was another first layer realmant. Damn it! How could there be so many heaven-defying geniuses? Or was there some relationship between the two of them? Lei Qianzhong's eyes flashed with lightning and runes. It was as if he wanted to see through Lin Fan. Lin Xian sneered. "Don't look, you can't beat me. You only blocked one of my attacks. What's there to be arrogant about?" Lei Qianzhong formed a seal with his fingers. Suddenly, the law of lightning spread out from his body and formed a pair of lightning wings. After opening, it was like a heavenly blade of lightning that cut through the sky and slashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian wasn't afraid and quickly attacked. The two exchanged dozens of blows, shaking the heavens and earth. They were evenly matched. Damn it, how could this be? They were evenly matched? Everyone went crazy, especially those on the eldest young master's side. They were very confident in Lei Qianzhong, but now he couldn't even take down a first-layer realm saint. This made them wonder if he was really a genius. However, they only had doubts. No one dared to say anything because they could tell from the shock waves and the Tao of heaven and earth. Lin Fan was indeed strong, ridiculously strong. It wasn't that Lei Qianzhong was weak, but that Lin Xian was too strange. They had never heard of a first-layer realm saint having such strength. "Damn brat, you've really angered me. Die!" Lei Qianzhong roared. Thunder fire sky slice. A terrifying Tao pulsed as the thunder fire turned into a blade of ice and fire that slashed towards Lin Fan. A murderous aura quickly spread out between heaven and earth. Wang! Lin Xian raised his hand and struck out with a 5-star alignment. It was like a Tao diagram that spun between heaven and earth. Thunderstorm. Lei Qianzhong's attack was once again thrown over, exploding once again. This time, the endless thunderbolts smashed apart. The energy of the ocean could tear everything apart. The second-layer realm saints trembled violently, because they realized that under this power they seemed to be unable to resist at all. Lin Xian was also surprised. What a violent power of lightning! His palms kept moving, and one golden mountain after another flew out of his hands. The thunder saber in his hand turned into a thunder spear as he thrust it forward. Everyone tensed up. Even Meng Meng's heart raced. On the other side, the man in the black cape narrowed his eyes. He looked at the scene with a mysterious gaze. How was he going to block it? Lin Xian didn't dodge the attack. Instead, he let out a roar. His body suddenly burst out with an unparalleled light. It was so bright that no one could open their eyes. He let out a long roar that shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. He reached out his hand, and countless laws gathered to form a dragon diagram. Then he slammed his hand down. He slammed his hand down on the thunderbolt spear. What? He wants to block it with his bare hands? Everyone felt like they were going crazy. No one below the third-layer realm could block this spear. Humph, he is courting death. Lei Qianzhue sneered. He thought that Chen Fan would die after this attack. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out. Long Tu's large palm collided with the lightning spear, emitting world-destroying energy ripples. Then, something terrifying happened. Such a stunning spear didn't pierce through Chen Fan's palm. Instead, it cracked under the impact of the dragon diagram. Then it shattered. How is that possible? What a violent power! Was he still human? Screams and screams filled the air. Everyone was going crazy. They couldn't believe it. The Elder Lord was dumbfounded. Meng Huan heaved a sigh of relief. The man in the black cape stared at Lin Xian as if he wanted to see through him. Lin Xian retracted his palm and sneered. "Your strength is really not enough. I really don't know how you managed to fool the Elder Lord of the 9 Netherbird clan. Since I have seen through your true strength, you should get out of my sight." Ah! Everyone's scalp went numb, especially those who knew Lei Qianzhue's identity. Who is this person? How can he be so powerful? Many people even wondered if this person was the descendant of the legendary Great Emperor Yan Nantian. That was because only the successor of a great emperor would be able to contend against such an exceptional genius with such a cultivation. However, the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace knew that it couldn't be Yen Nantian because Yen Nantian had been killed. Damn it, I am so angry! Lei Chinjue was so angry that his body trembled. Suddenly, the man in the black cape spoke. Lei Chinjue, you are so weak that I wanted to fight with you. But it seems like you can't even withstand a single attack from me. I really don't know how you got your status. Damn it. Yuan Ma, don't be so arrogant. And you, kid, do you really think this is my true strength? If I didn't seal my cultivation, I could have killed you with one attack. Let me tell you, my true cultivation is that of a third heaven sage. What, a third heaven sage? Everyone was going crazy. They had guessed that the man in the black cape was a third heaven sage. However, they didn't have any proof. They didn't expect that Lei Chinjue was also a third heaven sage. Furthermore, the other party had said it himself, so it shouldn't be fake. No wonder Lei Chinjue was so noble. He was a third heaven sage. At such a young age, his cultivation was unparalleled. That's right, kid. Our young Lord Lei is a true third heaven sage. How dare you provoke him? Kneel down. Our young lord had only sealed his cultivation. Otherwise, do you think you could have defeated him? I don't think you can even withstand a single attack. Lei Chinjue's companion sneered. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. A third heaven sage? If that was the case, it would be too shocking. Chapter 3508. He had never seen a third heavenly layer cultivator at such a young age. Where did he come from? Even Yen Nantian didn't have such a terrifying cultivation speed. Of course, the other party was much older than him and Yen Nantian by a few hundred years, but he was still considered young. It seemed that what he said was true. No wonder the black-cloaked man wanted to fight him. It seemed that the black-cloaked man was also a third heavenly layer sage. 2 third heavenly layer sages, both less than 1,000 years old. Where did this person come from? Lin Xian had never heard of such a prodigy before. Was it sealed? Fine, then I'll undo your seal. Let me see how powerful a third heavenly layer sage is. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. His blood and qi were boiling. So what if he was a third heavenly layer sage? He, Lin Xian, had never been afraid of anyone. His heart filled with pride, he decided to fight with all his might. On the other side, terrifying lightning runes appeared on Lei Qianzhong's body one after another. They were all formed by the great Tao. Especially on his forehead, it was even more terrifying. That was where the seal was. The lightning runes on it kept flashing and were about to loosen. At that moment, a beautiful figure floated over from afar. The moment she appeared, she said coldly, "Everyone, please stop. The Grand Ancestor's birthday is coming soon. I hope you won't make a big fuss." Everyone turned to look. Fatty exclaimed, "It's Sister Yenran." That's right, the person who came was 9 Nether Yenran. She was dressed in purple and looked like a high and mighty fairy. She stopped the two. Lin Xian didn't move. On the other side, Lei Qianzhong's eyes flashed and the lightning runes on his body disappeared. Fine, I'll give the fairy some face. He didn't make a move. Instead, he turned and stared at Lin Xian. "Kid, you're in luck. I won't make a move for the sake of the living fossil's birthday. But just you wait. After the birthday, I'll personally make you wish you were dead. I'll wait. I'm afraid you don't have the ability." Lin Xian also snorted coldly. Yenran stood high up in the sky and looked at this scene. She turned her gaze and stared at Lin Xian. She was extremely surprised. Previously, she had only seen Lin Xian once. At that time, Fatty had said that Lin Xian was a genius, but she had seen many geniuses. Therefore, he did not take it to heart. However, he didn't expect this person to be so extraordinary that he could force Lei Qianzhong to release the seal. You knew how terrifying Lei Qianzhong was. Lei Qianzhong wasn't from their galaxy. He was a genius from the second astral boundary. The ancient starry sky path was very long, and the starfield they were in was known as the first astral boundary. This was the original location of the ancient starry sky path. If they walked further in, they would arrive at the second astral realm. The forces of the second astral world were even more terrifying, and the geniuses were even more terrifying. For example, He Bifeng and Lei Qianzhong had reached the third firmament saint realm before they were 1,000 years old. It was truly terrifying. In addition to them, there were even more terrifying existences in the second astral realm. To be honest, if a genius from the second astral realm came to the first astral realm, he would be able to crush everything. Unless it was a great successor like Yen Nantian who had a super powerful divine ability, or a genius from the Nine Nether tribe who used a special sacred artifact, they would be able to contend against him. However, she didn't expect a first firmament saint to be able to fight Lei Qianzhong to such an extent. It was truly out of her expectations. It seemed that when she had the chance, she would have to properly ask him who he was. "Kid, just you wait, you're dead." When Lei Qianzhong returned to his seat, the short-haired youth next to him threatened again. Lin Xian sneered. "I'm dead? I think you don't know what's good for you. Even your master doesn't dare to talk to me like that. How dare a lowly servant like you be so arrogant in front of me? If it wasn't for the Nine Nether tribe, you would already be a dead man. You're courting death." The short-haired youth trembled with anger. Lin Xian sneered. "What? You're not convinced and want to fight? Very well. Do you dare to leave the Nine Nether tribe with me? Let's go somewhere else to fight to the death." When these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. Even the short-haired youth was stunned. He didn't think that Lin Xian would dare to say such words. For a moment, he didn't know how to respond. To be honest, he really couldn't beat Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was able to fight Lei Qianzhong to a standstill. Although Lei Qianzhong had sealed his cultivation, he wasn't someone he could compare to. Seeing his hesitation, Lin Xian snorted coldly. "What? You don't dare? Since you don't dare, then obediently scram and shut up. Even your master doesn't dare to be arrogant in front of me. Kid, I'll say it again. I, young Master Jialei, have sealed my cultivation. Otherwise, a third firmament saint could kill you easily." The short-haired youth retorted with a red face. When Lin Xian heard this, he laughed. "How impressive, how powerful. You also know that your master is a third firmament saint. Then let me ask you, a third firmament saint can easily kill a first firmament saint. What's there to be proud of?" When these words came out, everyone fell silent. Indeed, the difference in strength between a first firmament saint and a third firmament saint was too great. If a third firmament saint wanted to fight, there was nothing to be proud of. Lin Xian continued, "Since there's nothing to be proud of, why do you keep talking about it? Could it be that you only have this much strength? Or do you think that a third firmament saint killing a first firmament saint and succeeding is something to be proud of? Damn it, what are you trying to say?" Lei Qianzhong's face also turned cold. Lin Xian sneered. "What am I trying to say? I want to say, don't you call yourself a genius? Don't geniuses fight above their level? You're a third firmament saint. Why don't you kill fourth firmament and fifth firmament saints? Instead, you fight a first firmament saint? Where's your face? Also, even if you sealed your cultivation, so what? You're a second firmament saint, right? What about me? I'm a first firmament saint. There's still a gap of one firmament between us. But you can't even beat me. I really don't know what you have to be proud of. If I were a second firmament saint, I'd kill you in seconds. Someone like you can't even beat someone of a lower level, let alone fight above your level. Are you worthy of being called a genius?" Lin Xian's eyes were filled with disdain. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't expect that not only was the opponent's battle strength shocking, but his mouth was also terrifying. Didn't he see that Lei Qianzhong was about to vomit blood? Sure enough, Lei Qianzhong's body trembled. He was about to go crazy. To be honest, he really wanted to release the seal and kill the opponent. But in the end, he held back. The next time we meet, I can guarantee that you'll be a dead man. After saying this, Lei Qianzhong turned around and quickly left. His companions beside him quickly followed. Chapter 3509. The eldest young master's expression turned ugly. He originally held this sparring session to show off his strength and show off his esteemed guest, Lei Qianzhong, so that everyone would be envious of him. However, he didn't expect that Lei Qianzhong would be the one to make a fool of himself. This was something he didn't even dream of. Damn it, it was this guy who had messed up his plan. He coldly stared at Lin Xian, then glanced at the fatty. The fatty was so scared that his entire body turned cold. It's over. I've been targeted by the eldest young master. However, Lin Xian didn't care at all. Fellow Taoist, aren't your words a bit too much? The eldest young master coldly said. Lin Xian turned around. Oh, what? You still want to save face for that trash? Don't waste your energy. I've already given them a lot of face. Otherwise, do you think he would dare to fight me at the same level? The eldest young master's mouth twitched, but he couldn't say anything. He coldly snorted, then turned around and left. Fight at the same level? What a joke! Lei Qianzhong couldn't even beat the eldest young master with his cultivation at the second sky. If he was at the first sky in the seal, he would probably be beaten up. Lei Qianzhong left, and so did the eldest young master. They both left in anger, because if they stayed here, they would probably go crazy from anger. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect such a scene. However, at this moment, someone gently clapped. Wonderful, truly wonderful, truly wonderful. I haven't seen eldest young master so angry for many years. You've really opened my eyes. The one who spoke was the third young master. He was indeed very happy, because among the younger generation of the 9 Netherbird clan, only the eldest young master was above him. If the eldest young master was unlucky, he could step on him. Now that someone could make the eldest young master suffer, how could he not be happy? Brother, I sincerely invite you again. Are you interested in joining hands with me? We can create a golden age together. Join hands with you? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I don't think you've forgotten, right? You wanted to attack me before, and even wanted to kill me. Just now, you even used your eldest young master's hand to kill me. Do you think I'll join hands with you? Indeed, Lin Xian was also disdainful of the third young master. This third young master was too sinister and liked to use underhanded methods. Moreover, he had joined forces with the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8-Wind Palace. Why would Lin Xian join forces with them? The fact that Lin Xian didn't attack the third young master was already giving the 9 Nether clan a lot of face. However, the third young master didn't seem to know. He even said proudly, "Brother, you're wrong. There are no eternal enemies, only common interests. If we work together, we can really combine our strengths." Hearing this, Fatty tensed up. F***CK. This OL. 3 is trying to poach me again. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Is that so? If you really want to join hands with me, it's not impossible. But what? Fellow Taoist, feel free to tell me. I can definitely do it. Third young master said hurriedly. To be honest, he was a little excited right now because from his previous performance, this Lin Xian wasn't any weaker than Lei Qianzhong. If he could recruit such a person to his side, then he would have the strength to fight against Boss. Can do anything? Isn't this a little too arrogant? Lin Xian shook his head. Why? Are you doubting my strength? Don't worry, there's nothing I can't do. Third young master's eyes flashed with arrogance. He only lacked a strong assistant now. As long as he had a peerless genius by his side, He could definitely fight for the title of number one among the younger generation of the Nine Nether Clan. Therefore, he waved his hand and said, "Whatever conditions you have, I won't even frown." "Is that so?" Lin Xian smiled faintly. "If you want to join hands with me, it's very simple. Get rid of all the nobodies around you. I don't need to be with these trash. Get lost." Trash! Everyone was dumbfounded. They felt like their brains were about to explode. Who are these people beside the third young master? Those are the experts of the Vermilion Bird Palace and the Eight-Wind Palace. How terrifying are these people? They're definitely existences that can suppress an entire world. But in his eyes, they're just ants. Third young master was also stunned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to make such a request. He was stunned for a moment. Beside him, those from the Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and Eight-Wind Palace were enraged and stood up one after another. "Kid, what did you say? Say it again. You want to die?" They were really angry. "What? You're not convinced that you're trash?" Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a cold light. "If you're not convinced, then come out and fight. A battle to the death." When those words came out, those people on the other side almost vomited blood. Damn it, a battle to the death? What a joke. Even Lei Qianzhong can't defeat him. How can we go up and watch? Isn't this bullying? They were all trembling with anger, but no one dared to accept the challenge. The scene became very strange for a moment. Many people were speechless. They didn't know why Lin Xian dared to be so arrogant. In fact, they didn't know the hatred between Lin Xian, Dragon Valley, and the Vermilion Bird Palace. These major factions were still on the Langistar, preparing to capture him. Why would he go easy on the disciples of these sects? "Damn kid, tell us your name if you have the guts." A sky pride from the Vermilion Bird Palace gritted his teeth. Lin Xian said arrogantly with his hands behind his back, You don't have the right to know. You're courting death." The sky pride roared. As soon as he finished speaking, he was sent flying with a slap. Half of his face was smashed. Lin Xian retracted his hand and said coldly, "If you say another word, I'll kill you." The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace were so angry that they vomited blood. However, no one dared to say another word. The people from the Dragon Valley and Eight-Wind Palace subconsciously took 2 steps back. On the other hand, the third prince's face was incomparably pale. "I invited you out of goodwill, but you attacked my friends. Isn't that too much? Don't forget that no matter how powerful you are, you're still a member of the younger generation. This is the territory of the Abysmal Tribe. Judging from your tone, are you threatening me?" Lin Xian sneered. "You can't even be polite to the wise, and you want to recruit sky prides? Dream on. I admit that you're right. This is indeed the territory of the Abysmal Tribe, but so what? Can you represent the Abysmal Tribe?" The third prince was stunned. The others also fell silent. Although the third prince was a sky pride of the Abysmal Tribe and had an extraordinary status, no one would believe that he could represent the Abysmal Tribe. If he said that the living fossil could definitely represent the Abysmal Tribe. Third prince? He's too far away. Even the eldest prince isn't qualified. Since you can't represent the Abysmal Tribe, what right do you have to threaten me with the Abysmal Tribe? Maybe in 2 days, the Abysmal Tribe will treat me as an important guest. At that time, you'll have to be respectful when you see me. Treat you as an important guest? Good, good, good. I'd like to see what right you have to say such big words. The third prince's face was ashen. He waved his sleeves and turned to leave. Beside him, the experts from the Dragon Valley and 8 Emperor's Palace also left. Before they left, their eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. The eldest prince and Lei Qianzhong left with their people. Who would have thought that the third prince would also leave with his people? Moreover, they were all angered by Lin Xian. These people will probably vomit blood when they return. Chapter 35:10. The surrounding people felt that it was unreal. On Gold Planet, who dared to be disrespectful to the two young masters of the Nine Netherbird race. But now, someone actually did it, and no one dared to refute. It was a rare sight that happened once in 1,000 years. Brother, you're awesome. Really eye-opening. Didn't you see the sullen faces of Boss and Old Three? Haha, I probably won't forget it in my life. Too satisfying. Fatty was incomparably excited. He had been bullied by these two since he was young. Now that he saw their sullen faces, he really felt too good. He looked at Lin Xian with stars in his eyes. Brother, I'll follow you in the future. You're my boss. Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. Aren't you afraid that your Nine Netherbird race will fight it out with me? Fatty also laughed awkwardly. Indeed, in their Nine Netherbird race's territory, he was still the young master of the Nine Netherbird race. Now he actually had to acknowledge a boss in front of everyone. If their elders knew, they would probably slap him to death. However, Lin Xian laughed and said, You don't have to acknowledge me as your boss. Let me ask you, do you want to be the boss of the younger generation of the Nine Netherbird race? Hearing that, Fatty sucked in a breath of cold air. Brother, what do you mean? Lin Xian laughed and then transmitted his voice. What I mean is that I don't like Old Three and Boss. He was indeed right. He didn't like these two because they colluded with those people from the Vermilion Bird Palace. And with today's situation, those people definitely wouldn't let it go. Perhaps they might do something. You're saying that they will attack us? It can't be. Fatty's face was full of shock. Although something like this happened today, Fatty felt that it wasn't very likely that it would be an assassination. Then let's wait and see. Next, Lin Xian and the rest changed back. After returning, Lin Xian set up a formation. Then they hid in another formation. In the latter half of the night, suddenly, a few dark shadows appeared in the void and charged towards them. The formation that Lin Xian set up was an illusion formation. There were illusions of him, Meng Meng, and Fatty inside. At this moment, the assassins charged towards the phantom. The strength of these people was extremely terrifying. They were all saints. Their attacks were all fatal. Moreover, their weapons were smeared with poison. Pung pung pung. The three assassins charged towards Fatty and the others. When the daggers cut through their bodies, the three assassins quickly retreated. They were incomparably confident because this poison was extremely terrifying. As long as one touched it, no one would be able to survive. What, am I right? Hidden in another array formation, Lin Xian said faintly. Fatty's face turned ugly. If it wasn't for Lin Xian, he would have been killed without a sound. Damn it! Damn it! Fatty gritted his teeth. Bro, tell me what you want me to do. I'll listen to you. Previously, the Fatty didn't think much of it. At most, he would be bullied. But now, Big Brother and Third Brother actually wanted to kill him. Fatty couldn't stand it. Since the other party has attacked us, we naturally have to fight back. However, killing the first and third young masters is too big of a target and will easily cause a commotion. This matter can wait. You can slowly deal with them in the future. What I can do now is to weaken the forces around them as much as possible. You want to make a move on the people around them? Fatty was shocked. Lin Xian nodded. That's right. At least half of this matter was because of the people around them. Therefore, making a move on them can be considered as revenge. But we don't have enough manpower. Can you handle it alone? Lin Xian said no problem. However, I still need your help. Fantasy, and I will create a clone. Then you will bring our clones to visit Nine Nether Yenran. Dream's true body, and I will go kill those people. This way, even if those people suspect us in the future, with Nine Nether Yenran as our alibi, we will be safe. All right. Fatty's eyes lit up. This time he was going to do something big. Next, Lin Xian and Fantasy each created a clone. Fatty brought these two clones to Nine Nether Yenran's residence. Meanwhile, Lin Xian and Fantasy's true bodies were hidden in the void. They were going to carry out an assassination. Fantasy would go to Third Young Master's residence and assassinate the Vermilion Bird Palace experts around him. As for Lin Xian, he was going to make a move on First Young Master's side. This time it was an assassination. Therefore, they would take action very quickly. If they failed, they would retreat far away. In the hall, Nine Nether Yanran held a jade slip in her hand. Her exquisite face was filled with seriousness. Outside, a maid quickly walked in. "Miss, Sixth Young Master is outside asking for an audience." "Sixth Young Master?" Nine Nether Yanran stopped what she was doing and raised her head. She asked, "Just him?" The maid said, "No, other than Sixth Young Master. His two companions are also with him." "Quickly ask them to come in." Nine Nether Yanran stood up. She was originally very interested in Lin Xian and wanted to find an opportunity to probe him. She didn't expect Sixth Young Master to bring people here. This saved her a lot of trouble. She had to meet this mysterious young prodigy. "Sixth Young Master, please come with me. Sister Yanran wants to see you." The maid outside smiled. Fatty smiled. He quickly led Lin Xian and Fantasy's doppelganger into the hall. On the other side, in First Young Master's residence, First Young Master had originally prepared a banquet to celebrate, but now everyone was no longer in the mood. After Lei Qianzhong returned, he went into seclusion and didn't come out. He looked very angry. First Young Master went to invite him a few times, but to no avail. He could only give up. At the same time, the Vermilion Bird Palace, Eight Wind Palace, and Dragon Valley experts beside him also had ugly expressions. "Damn it, it's all that despicable brat's fault. Not only did he offend young Master Lei, he even dared to provoke us. I really want to find a chance to kill him. Don't worry, we've already returned and said that we succeeded. That kind of poison can definitely kill them. That's natural. This poison was brought from the second astral realm. Even a third heaven saint like him wouldn't be able to resist it." Everyone sneered. First Young Master said, "All right, there are many things to do today. Everyone rest early." With that he left. Those people also returned to their own rooms, either to cultivate or rest. The night gradually quieted down. However, they didn't know that in the sky a figure stood there like a demon god, coldly looking down. "Poison from the second astral realm. Humph. So it was you guys who did it. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite." A cold, murderous intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. He already had a grudge with the Vermilion Bird Palace and the other major forces. Now that they attacked him again, Lin Xian's heart was filled with killing intent. Whoosh! A black aura rose from his body. It was demonic qi. At this moment, Lin Xian directly transformed into a demon. The Great Destruction, spear, was also pulled out by him. His face was shrouded. Only a pair of cold eyes could be seen. Transforming into demonic qi was a piece of cake for Lin Xian. He tore open the void and attacked downwards. Chapter 35:11. The palace below was filled with a fire array. Countless flames formed a vermilion bird that coiled around a man. It was extremely mysterious. This was an expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace. He was currently cultivating. Buzz! Suddenly he opened his eyes, revealing a trace of fear. He then looked in all directions. There was no one. He did not detect anything, but his heart was trembling uneasily. It was as if some danger was approaching. Was it an illusion? The expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace frowned and carefully sensed for a while. He could not sense anything. He stared at his eyes again and turned his palms towards the sky, preparing to cultivate. Poof! Suddenly, a black spear came out of his heart. It was stained with blood. It was extremely strange. The expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace opened his eyes wide in disbelief. There was someone. There was indeed someone. But who was it? Why did he not sense it? He wanted to turn his head, but he did not even have the strength to do so. This attack caused his strength and vitality to rapidly drain away. His head only managed to turn halfway before he fell to the ground. His soul was instantly stared to death. The first one, the demonic figure, withdrew the great destruction spear. His eyes shone with a golden light and a cold aura. Then he tore through the void and disappeared. This was destined to be a night of bloodshed. Lin Xian was like a ghost, appearing in every palace. Every time he attacked, it was a fatal blow. The great dragon, Sword Soul, destroyed everything. The heavenly secret god, I destroyed the opponent's soul. He was like the Grim Reaper in the darkness. In the end, the experts from the Vermilion Bird Palace, 8 Desolation Palace, Dragon Valley, and other experts around the eldest young master were all killed. Throughout the entire process, these people did not resist at all. Buzz. After dealing with the last one, Lin Xian left completely. On the other side, Fantasy had also returned. How was it? Lin Xian asked. Dreamy nodded. Everything had been resolved without anyone knowing. All right, let's go back. Lin Xian and Fantasy God, I turned around and returned. In another palace, the fatty looked at the time. He felt that it was about time, so he returned from 9 Nether Yenron's place. Who was this guy? 9 Nether Yenron's little face was a little gloomy. Until now, she still hadn't found out the other party's identity. She planned to wait for 2 days and find an opportunity to try again. The next day, there was only 1 day left before the living fossil's birthday banquet. The eldest young lord opened his eyes, recovering from his cultivation. He was going to look for Lei Qianzhong again, as he would need to rely on him in the future. This time he didn't plan to go alone. He planned to bring the experts of the Vermilion Bird Palace with him. Thinking about it, Lei Qianzhong shouldn't be able to refuse to meet them. Someone bring the geniuses out. His subordinates hurried over, but soon they heard screams. Eldest young master, this is bad. These people were scared shitless. The eldest young master's face sank. What was going on that made him so flustered? He was already in a bad mood, and the way his subordinates were behaving made him even more dissatisfied. He had to calm himself down first. The eldest young master took a sip of spirit tea. After a while, he asked, "Speak, what is it?" That subordinate was sweating profusely from anxiety, but in front of the eldest young master, he did not dare to be impudent at all. After the eldest young master spoke, he said, "Young master, the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace are dead." What? The eldest young master stood up abruptly, the spirit tea in his hand shattered. Not only that, the ground beneath his feet and the space behind him were also crumbling. It was a scene of apocalypse. The subordinate was so frightened that he fell to his knees, trembling. The eldest young master lifted him up. "What did you say? Say it again." "The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace are dead. Moreover, the experts from the 8 Wind Palace and Dragon Valley were all killed. How is this possible?" The eldest young master's pupils shrank. He couldn't believe his ears. The geniuses he recruited were all dead? Impossible. He threw his subordinate to the side, turned into a streak of light, and rushed into the distance. Greetings to the eldest young master. In the distant palace, there were already many guards waiting. When they saw the streak of light, the guards bowed respectfully. The eldest young master ignored them and walked straight into the palace. In the next moment, he felt as if he was struck by lightning. The person lying on the ground in front of him was a man. The vermilion bird totem on his body had dimmed, but the eldest young master could tell at a glance that this was an expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace. Was he really dead? This was a saint. It was not an easy task to kill a saint completely. He went forward to check carefully. Then his body turned even colder. He was indeed dead, and he was thoroughly dead. There was no possibility of revival. There was only one fatal wound, which was the heart. It was pierced by a sharp weapon. The eldest young master carefully sensed it. He felt a trace of extremely terrifying aura. Was that demonic chi? He frowned, turned around, and ran toward the second palace. In the end, he found the same scene. The heart of an expert from the Eight-Wind Palace was pierced, leaving behind a trace of demonic chi. The third, the fourth, everyone died in the same way. Their hearts were pierced in an instant. But how was that possible? Pierced through the heart? They could revive even if they were killed. But now these saints were all killed. Then, this attack wasn't an ordinary one that pierced through the heart. It was a killing blow that wiped out all of their vitality, soul, and blood essence. What kind of attack was that? The eldest young master felt his scalp go numb. Ordinary saints couldn't do that, unless it was a minor saint. The eldest young master felt a lingering fear. If that person wanted to attack him, would he be able to survive? He didn't know. Suddenly his heart skipped a beat. Lei Qianzhong. He didn't care about anything else and quickly rushed to where Lei Qianzhong was. When he found that Lei Qianzhong was fine and alive, he let out a sigh of relief. Someone, investigate this matter for me. Thoroughly investigate. Who dared to attack here? He must be torn into pieces. The eldest young master was furious. His subordinates quickly went to investigate. The news spread out. The third young master was the first to receive the news. When he received this news, he instantly became happy. Someone was going to target Boss. Then was this his chance? He needed to find someone to discuss this matter. However, when he found those geniuses, he was stunned. Those geniuses under him were all dead. Corpses, whether it was the Eight-Wind Palace, Vermilion Bird Palace, or Dragon Valley. All of them had their foreheads split open. Ah, the third young master roared like a wild beast. Damn it, check it out for me. He no longer had the mood to laugh because he suffered the same fate as the eldest young master. So many geniuses died here. Moreover, they were killed in an instant. This news was like an earthquake. It shook the 9 Netherbird clan and the entire Alchemy Valley. Chapter 3512. This was no longer a matter between the 2 young masters, but the elders of the Paul Netherbird clan. The powerhouses moved out one after another, completely sealing off the golden fire plains. Someone dared to make a move in their territory, regardless of who it was. Once they found the culprit, they would kill him. For a moment, the undercurrents in Alchemy Valley surged, and the powerhouses inside went crazy. They were all guessing which ruthless person dared to do such a thing under the nose of the Paul Netherbird clan. Was he not afraid of being found out? However, after searching for a long time, they did not find the culprit, not even a suspicious person. That was even more shocking. That was impossible. Could it be that he had already left? Everyone guessed. First young master, third young master, and the others gritted their teeth because they thought of someone. Damn it, it can't be that kid, right? I'll go find 6th young master. They moved out one after another, heading towards the palace where the fatty was. Soon, they arrived at the palace where the fatty was and surrounded it. What was going on? The others also followed. When they saw this scene, they did not understand what was going on. Someone immediately guessed that it could not be that kid who did it, right? Are you talking about the young prodigy who shouted at Lei Qianzhong? They sucked in a breath of cold air and thought of Lin Xian. That's impossible, right? However, some people did not dare to believe it. Is he really that bold? We'll know when we see it. The truth will come out soon. 6th young master, get out here. First young master roared, shaking heaven and earth. Inside the palace, the fatty's expression was anxious. It's over. They still came to find us. Have we been exposed? Lin Xian said. Don't worry, we definitely won't be exposed. Don't be nervous. The fatty nodded, took a deep breath, and then deactivated the array formation. Big brother, why are there so many of you here? What happened? What happened? First young master was furious when he heard that. How dare you play dumb in front of me? Tell that kid beside you to come out. Come out. Yes, that's right. Tell him to come out and die. Third young master also shouted coldly, his eyes filled with incomparable killing intent. What? Why are you looking for me? Before the fatty could say anything, Lin Xian walked out and looked around coldly. We embarrassed you yesterday, and now you're here for revenge? This is in front of everyone. Don't you care about your family's reputation at all? Brat, stop pretending. It's not because of yesterday's provocation. It's because someone went to my palace last night and killed all the geniuses I invited. That's right, I invited the geniuses, but they were all killed. They're all geniuses from top forces. How am I supposed to explain this to them? Third young master gritted his teeth and roared. Lin Xian rolled his eyes. What does it have to do with me that the person you invited was killed? You dare to say that you didn't kill him? What a joke. Do you have any evidence? Lin Xian's face darkened as he knew that he couldn't speak carelessly. You too have lost experts. But why are you looking for me? Is it just because I've gone against you? What a joke. Then let me ask you, who are the people who died? Naturally, they were the geniuses of the Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and 8 Desolation Palace. The eldest young master harumphed coldly. Hearing this, Lin Xian laughed out loud. You should know that these are all top geniuses. Those forces aren't any weaker than the Jiu family, right? I'm out of my mind. Go kill them. Besides, what evidence do you have to prove that I killed them? Could it be that you think my strength is so terrifying that I can kill so many experts silently? As soon as he said this, the surrounding crowd started to discuss. Indeed, in a one-on-one fight, those people might not be able to defeat Lin Xian. However, it was also impossible for Lin Xian to kill them silently with one move. What was even stranger was that among them they were all killed in one move. They didn't even have a chance to resist or call for help. This wasn't something a first heaven saint could do. It was at least a small saint, or possibly a holy venerable. Who knows if it's you? Your cultivation is so low, but your combat strength is so strong. It's very suspicious. That's right. Although there's no concrete evidence now, as long as we capture you and interrogate you, we'll definitely be able to find out. I think it's better to collect your soul. The first and third young masters walked up, their eyes filled with killing intent. Soul search. Everyone's scalps went numb. Lin Xian also frowned. Fatty was also unhappy. Big brother, third brother, aren't you guys going overboard? Old Six, do you have the right to speak? Get lost. The first and third young masters roared. Fatty was so angry that his whole body trembled. F***CK. I'm going all out. I must support Lin Xian now. He shouted coldly. When did your people die? Of course, it was last night. Be more specific? After midnight. Old Six, you can't protect him at all. Don't try to cover up the murder. Otherwise, you'll end up very badly. The first young master's face was extremely cold. Fatty clenched his teeth and said, If it happened last night, then it wasn't my brother who did it, because at that time my brother and I were chatting with Sister Yanran. What? As soon as he said this, the surrounding crowd was in an uproar. The first and third young masters were also stunned. Chatting with 9 Nether Yanran? How could it be? Old Six, don't blame me for breaking your legs if you continue to talk nonsense. How could I talk nonsense about such an important matter? Fatty gritted his teeth and said to the servant beside him, Hurry up and invite Sister Yanran over. There's no need. I'm already here. A cold voice came from afar. Then a beauty in purple walked over. Sister Yanran, you have to help me. Fatty said with an aggrieved face. 9 Nether Yanran looked at Fatty, then looked at Lin Xian and nodded slightly. Then she turned around and stared at the first and third young masters. She frowned and said, I've heard about what happened between the two of you, but this time you're too arbitrary. You're arresting people without concrete evidence. This isn't the style of our Nine Nether clan. Yenran, are you going to protect him? The first young master asked coldly. Nine, Nether Yenran said. I'm not protecting him. I'm just telling everyone the truth. Last night, I was indeed chatting with sixth young master Xian and Miss Meng. I can guarantee this with my status. The crowd was in an uproar. They didn't expect the other party to have such an obvious alibi. But thinking about it, a First Heaven Sage couldn't do this no matter how powerful he was. The first and third young masters were obviously looking for someone to take the blame. Sure enough, when the first and third young masters heard Nine Nether Yenran's words, their faces became extremely ugly. They weren't sure that the other party was the culprit, but they couldn't do so anymore. They had to find someone to give the Vermilion Bird Palace and Eight Wind Palace an explanation. Otherwise, when those experts came, they wouldn't be able to explain. Now that it was impossible to make sixth young master and Lin Xian take the blame, they had to find another way. The two of them turned around and wanted to leave. Wait a minute. However, Lin Xian spoke up at that moment. Everyone froze and turned their heads. They didn't understand what he wanted to do. The first and third young masters also turned around abruptly with a fierce look in their eyes. Brat, you dare to stop us? You want to die. Chapter 3513. You're so aggressive, using your status to oppress me, and you want to leave just like that? It can't be that simple. What is this kid talking about? Everyone was stunned. Even Fatty was stunned. *CK. It wasn't easy to send his two brothers away. But now he dared to make a request? Fatty felt like he was going crazy. Even Yenran of 9, Nether, was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Xian to be so bold. What do you want? Do you want us to apologize? Eldest young master said coldly. That's right, they should apologize. You did something wrong, so shouldn't you apologize? Moreover, you should apologize. The two of you give me a saint artifact each. Then, sincerely apologize, and I can forgive you this once. *CK. What is he talking about? He wants the two young masters to apologize and give them two sacred artifacts? *CK. Is this kid crazy? The surrounding people felt like they were going crazy. Third young master and eldest young master couldn't believe their ears. They were so angry that they laughed. Kid, what did you say? Say it again. Sigh. Lin Xian sighed. Now, all the experts and geniuses from all over the universe were here. This was a great opportunity for the Nine Nether tribe. But now, someone actually dared to ruin the reputation of the Nine Nether tribe. If this spread to all over the universe, the loss would be more than just an apology. How simple would that be? *CK. Kid, how dare you threaten me? Third young master roared. Eldest young master's eyes were also filled with killing intent. Yenran of 9, Nether frowned. The other party was right. If this continued, the Nine Nether tribe would be the one losing face. So, she looked at eldest young master and third young master. You two did wrong. You framed others before getting the evidence. I also think you should apologize. What? Eldest young master and third young master were stunned. Yenran of 9, Nether wanted them to apologize. What was going on? Yenran, who are we? Who does he think he is? Is he worthy of us apologizing? The two companies were proud. Yenran of 9, Nether said. It's because of our special status that we should apologize. We should be humble. Only by being flexible can we lead the Nine Nether tribe in the future. This was what the ancestors said. Are you not going to listen to the old ancestors' lesson? Once this was said, the first and third young masters couldn't remain calm. They could ignore other people, but they definitely couldn't ignore the old ancestor. The reason for that was because they had put forth a great deal of effort to gain the favor of their old ancestor. If they were to go against their old ancestor now, they would not be able to do anything. In that case, their fates would definitely be very miserable. Therefore, in order to please the old ancestor, the two of them had to apologize. They took a deep breath and said with great reluctance. The two of them cupped their fists and said, "This time we were rash and did not investigate thoroughly. Please forgive us, young master." The surrounding people couldn't believe their eyes. Tianya, these two young masters actually apologized. Lin Xian crossed his arms and nodded slightly. "For the sake of your ancestor, I won't pursue the matter this time." However, he couldn't afford to lose two saint artifacts. He even wanted a saint artifact. The faces of the two young masters turned green. Damn it, they didn't even have a saint artifact in their hands. And they were going to give it to the other party? What a joke! At this time, 9 Nether Yenran also said, "Young master, saint artifacts are too unusual, and this was just a misunderstanding. It didn't cause much damage. How about this? I'll let the two of them compensate you with a half-saint artifact each. How about that? All right, for the sake of the fairy, I'll reluctantly agree." Lin Xian nodded again. However, he smiled in his heart. 2 half-saint artifacts were not bad. Moreover, they were refined by the 9 Nether clan, so their power was extraordinary. Damn it! The two young masters took out the 2 half-saint artifacts reluctantly and threw them over. Then, they left with dark faces and murderous auras. Lin Xian smiled and put away the 2 half-saint artifacts. Then, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, he invited 9 Nether Yenran in. The disturbance outside continued, but it had nothing to do with Lin Xian anymore. Now, no one dared to suspect him. Moreover, the disturbance quickly subsided because the birthday of the living fossil had finally arrived. This day was incomparably lively. It was probably the busiest day in the entire Alchemy Valley in the past 1,000 years. On the plain, a huge sky palace floated up and down. It was a saint artifact refined by the old ancestor. At this moment, the birthday banquet was going on inside. Of course, those who could enter were not ordinary people. Those who were weaker could only stay outside. They didn't even have the right to enter the sky palace. The positions inside were all meticulously arranged, and there would not be any mistakes. Among them, there were the older generation figures, and there was no need to talk about them. Among the younger generation, Lei Qianzhong's position was the highest. The first young master accompanied him. Originally, there were seats for the Vermilion Bird Palace and 8 Wind Palace's geniuses. However, there was no need for them now. Under the first young master was the third young master and the geniuses around him. The fatty was further away, even closer to the main hall's entrance. One could imagine that his position in the family was not very high. Why didn't I see 9 Nether Yenran? Lin Xian was slightly surprised. He thought that 9 Nether Yenran's position should be higher than the first young master's. The fatty explained, "Sister Yenran must be with the old ancestor." As expected, after everyone sat down, a group of people walked out of the main hall. At the front was an old man. His white hair reached his ankles. He wore a loose red robe. At first glance, he gave off an immortal aura. He was the living fossil of the 9 Nether clan. To the left of the 9 Nether clan's old ancestor stood a beautiful woman. She was 9 Nether Yenran. At this moment, she was supporting the old ancestor as they slowly walked over. 9 Nether Yenran was even more beautiful today. She was still wearing a purple dress, but it was obvious that she had dressed up meticulously. She gave off an otherworldly aura. Behind her was a group of elders and experts. They were all important figures of the 9 Nether clan. Usually they held high positions. However, this time no one looked at them. Instead, they were all looking at the figure at the front. It was the 9 Nether clan's old ancestor. The 9 Nether clan's old ancestor was quite calm. It was as if he didn't care about anyone present. He walked slowly, but every step he took was very steady. Finally, he came to the north and sat down slowly. After greeting the old ancestor, the 9 Nether clan's martial artists bowed respectfully. The other experts also congratulated the old ancestor. Good, good, good. You don't have to be so polite. The old ancestor of the 9 Nether clan waited for everyone to finish their greetings before he smiled. With a wave of his hand, everyone felt an invisible force holding their bodies back. Thank you for traveling thousands of miles and crossing worlds. Yenran is here to toast everyone on behalf of the old ancestor. 9 Nether, Yenran was the first to stand up. She took the spiritual wine and bowed slightly to everyone. Then she drank it in one gulp. Fairy Yenran is too polite. It is our great fortune to be able to attend the old ancestor's birthday banquet. Yes, who doesn't know that the old ancestor is the famous master blacksmith of the execution of heaven? Chapter 35:14. The birthday banquet began, and everyone was ready to present their treasures. Everyone's faces were glowing. The 9 Netherbird clan hoped to be valued by the Grand Elder. That way, they might be able to take over the 9 Netherbird clan in the future. As for the outsiders, they hoped to have a chance to meet the Grand Elder alone. It was said that this way, they could ask the Grand Elder a question. Everyone was excited, especially the first prince and third prince. They were the 2 most likely candidates to compete. Among the outsiders, Lei Qianzhong was probably the most powerful. Lin Xian looked at the living fossil curiously. He was very confident in presenting his treasures. This was because he felt that no one could make a living fossil more excited than him when he saw a treasure. Buzz. As if sensing Lin Xian's gaze, the living fossil in front of him turned his eyes and looked over. It was a short meeting. Lin Xian felt that the other party's eyes were deep and filled with the vicissitudes of time. Those eyes were like the sun, moon, and stars. Lin Xian's soul was almost lost in them. However, they returned to normal in an instant. The 9 Netherbird clan's Grand Elder was stunned and quickly retracted his gaze. He was still expressionless, but in his heart he was very surprised. Who was this young man? It was hard to believe that he wasn't affected by him. That person was standing beside the fatty. If he was standing beside the first prince or third prince, the living fossil wouldn't be surprised because those 2 were the most outstanding of the younger generation of the 9 Netherbird clan. However, the fatty wasn't considered outstanding in the clan. How did he manage to recruit such a person? He was very curious. He looked at Lin Xian again and saw that Lin Xian was very calm. It was as if he wasn't affected by the atmosphere at all. On the other hand, the surrounding sages were all agitated. What a strange young man. The great supreme elder was astonished. The fatty didn't know that Lin Xian had been targeted by their Grand Elder. He said anxiously, "Brother, do you think my 3,000 ancestral green gold will work?" Lin Xian smiled. "Sure, no problem. Even if it can't be compared to your 2 brothers, it won't fall behind." "That's right." Fatty nodded. Indeed, this was a material for crafting saint artifacts. At this moment, the eldest young master stood up. Everyone looked over. It seemed like the eldest young master wanted to see the treasure. What kind of treasure is this young master going to find? With eldest young master status and wealth, that treasure definitely wouldn't be bad. The surrounding people were discussing animatedly. They were all very curious. The eldest young master said with a smile, "Grandson wishes old ancestor good fortune, as the East Sea, and longevity as long as the South Mountain. Thanks to the great fortune of the old ancestor, I obtained a bunch of treasures by chance." It was a blue sky painting. Someone had found it on the stone wall of the ancient cavern. It was said that an ancient holy venerate left it behind while cultivating. It was very useful for comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth. This grandson is willing to offer it to the old ancestor. The crowd was in an uproar. The blue sky picture was left behind by the holy sage. This was a heaven-shaking treasure. Everyone was going crazy. They didn't expect that the eldest young master would take out such a precious treasure right off the bat. The faces of the 9 Nether Tribe's youngsters instantly darkened. Damn it, they were suppressed by their boss again. They reckoned that no one could compete with him. Initially, they were full of confidence and thought that their treasures were very good. However, when their boss took out the blue sky picture, everyone gave up. Who could compete with the treasure left behind by the holy sage? Fatty took a deep breath. Damn it, am I on steroids? Where did I get such a thing? The eldest young master revealed a satisfied smile. Not to mention the old ancestor's attitude. Just the envious and jealous gazes of the surrounding people made him very happy. He wanted to be the center of attention. A bunch of trash. How dare you compete with me? Looking at the people in the tribe, the eldest young master was even more disdainful. This time he could definitely secure his position as the young clan leader. The 3rd young master's face also changed. Initially, he was quite confident in his own gift. However, he didn't expect his boss's gift to be so precious. In this case, he wasn't very confident anymore. However, no matter what, he had to give it a try. Therefore, the 3rd young master also stood up and said quickly, "Old ancestor." This grandson also obtained a treasure. Buzz. He flipped his palm and an apple-sized gem appeared. The gem was crystal clear. It was red for a while, then blue for a while. When it was red, it had a scorching aura. When it was blue, it had a cold aura. What a magical gem! It must be a mutated divine crystal. The surrounding people were surprised. However, some of the older generation exclaimed, "What is this? Could it be that thing?" They were extremely excited. That's right. I think some of the elders and seniors have already guessed it. The 3rd young master smiled. It was that thing. It wasn't an immortal state, but a monster core. It was the inner core of a monster saint. This monster saint's cultivation was only at the 2nd heaven of the sage realm. However, he was an extremely rare ice-fire beast. What? The inner core of an ice-fire beast? The crowd exclaimed again. The ice-fire beast was a monster beast of heaven and earth. Moreover, it was extremely rare and was almost extinct. Its inner core was very magical. It contained the great Tao of ice and fire. Moreover, it wasn't the ordinary great Tao of ice and fire. It was a great Tao that could perfectly merge. It could be said that the inner core of an ice-fire beast was extremely precious, especially a sage-level one. This treasure was also extremely amazing. Seeing that the crowd exclaimed again, the 3rd young master also smiled. The 1st young master frowned slightly. The item that the 3rd young master took out was also not simple. However, he was more confident in his blue sky painting. The other members of the 9 Netherbird clan became very bitter. Damn, is the 1st young master and 3rd young master on steroids? The treasures they took out are so powerful. Next, the others began to take out their treasures. However, those treasures would definitely be dazzling if they were taken out on normal days. However, compared to the blue sky painting and the ice-fire beast's inner core, they were much weaker. For a moment, there was basically no discussion. The 1st young master and the 3rd young master had stolen the limelight. 6th young master, why aren't you moving? Could it be that you're not prepared? The 3rd young master glanced at the fatty. The 1st young master also said coldly, "Don't you care about the ancestors' birthday banquet? How is that possible? I've been meticulously preparing for the ancestors' birthday banquet." The fatty stood up and took out 3,000 pieces of green ancestral gold. Immediately, there was another round of exclamation. This was a material for refining divine artifacts. It was extremely precious. Although it was not as precious as the blue sky painting and the ice-fire beast's inner core, it was definitely ranked 3rd. It surpassed the others' treasures. For a moment, the crowd was incomparably shocked. The 6th young master was usually at the bottom. How could he be in the top 3 now? Damn it, where did he get such precious metals? He couldn't afford it, even if he was beaten to death. Voices of doubt sounded one after another. Chapter 35:15. The item that the fatty took out was suspicious because 3,000 pieces of ancestral green gold was extremely precious. Even some saints could not afford it. Now that the fatty took it out, everyone could not help but be suspicious. Even Nether Yanran was surprised. She did not expect her sixth brother to be able to take out such a treasure. It was really surprising. The third young master's expression also darkened. He had long heard that the fatty had something good, but he did not expect it to be true. Previously, he tried to snatch it, but failed. Now that the fatty took it out, he stole the limelight. Humph! He sneered. He really couldn't tell that number 6 wasn't much on normal days. He didn't expect him to be able to take out such a treasure. However, I am very curious about the origin of this treasure. With your wealth, can you afford it? Sure enough, many people around looked at the fatty with suspicion. The fatty's expression changed, but he soon calmed down. He sneered. Third brother did not need to worry about whether he could afford it or not. However, if you are suspicious, you can investigate it. My origin is very honorable. I am not afraid of your investigation. Humph! The third young master snorted. The others did not say anything. Since the fatty acted like this, there should be no problem. Many people from the 9 Nether clan were shocked, and their faces were filled with jealousy. It was fine if they could not compete with the eldest and third young masters, but now they could not even compete with the 6th young master? Once the people of the 9 Underworlds clan offered up their treasures, they would become outsiders. Many of them presented many good treasures, causing the eyes of others to light up. However, the most eye-catching one was Lei Qianzhong. Lei Qianzhong took out a jade bottle and said loudly, "This is an elixir, an ancient elixir. I obtained it from an ancient cavern. I do not know the name of the elixir, but I named it the longevity elixir because this elixir can increase one's lifespan by 50 years. What? Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. The living fossil Grand Elder suddenly opened his eyes, which were shining with a shocking light. Previously, whether it was the blue sky illustration or the ice fire inner core, they did not attract the living fossil's attention. Although these treasures were good, the living fossil had seen too many treasures in his life. Especially at his status, treasures were no longer what he pursued. What he pursued was power and life. However, at his level of cultivation, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for him to advance any further. It was very common for him to be trapped for hundreds or thousands of years without being able to advance any further. And there was another thing that made him very anxious, because he didn't have much time left. If he still couldn't make a breakthrough, he would most likely die. By then, no matter how powerful he was, he wouldn't be able to escape the 6 paths of reincarnation. But now, someone actually took out a pill that could increase his lifespan by 50 years, which made him go wild with joy. The others were even more envious. Medicinal pills that could increase one's life were the most precious. They could only be envious because they knew that this pill was for living fossils. As expected, Lei Qianzhong smiled and looked at the living fossil. "This is a small gift from Junior. I hope Senior will accept it." Good, good, good. Lei Qianzhong finally let out a laugh. He said, "Yanran, since that's the case, then take it." Yanran of 9 Nether's face was also filled with excitement. She carefully received the elixir pills from young Master Lei and bowed slightly to express her gratitude. Then he turned around and came to the living fossil's side and took the jade bottle. The living fossil's hands were trembling. After receiving it, he immediately used his soul to inspect it. Then he laughed excitedly. It was indeed a miraculous elixir. There were even more screams in the surroundings. They knew that there was probably no other item that could be more valuable than this. It seemed that Lei Qianzhong could make a request to the living fossil. As for what it was, they were even more curious. With Lei Qianzhong's status and strength, what kind of request could he make? The eldest young master also revealed a proud smile because he was the one who invited Lei Qianzhong. The third young master's face darkened. They had also taken out many treasures, but none of them could compare to this life elixir. Wow, the fatty's eyes widened. Damn, this is really an eye-opener. He was already very satisfied with his performance this time. Although he didn't get first place, he was still in the top 3. Thinking about it, after this birthday banquet, his identity and status would definitely undergo an earth-shaking change. Of course, all of this was because of Lin Xian. Therefore, he looked at Lin Xian gratefully. Brother, I really have to thank you this time. If you need anything in the future, just say the word. If I don't do anything, I'm not human. Don't say that. I really do have something. Didn't you guys recently say that someone could make a request to the living flower stone? I'm going to make a request to your old ancestor. What? The fatty was so shocked that he almost fell off his chair. He said, Brother, don't joke around. Although the rumor was true, this opportunity was too rare. Everyone wanted to fight for it, especially now that Lei Qianzhong actually took out a life elixir. No one could compare. Why don't you just give something casually? In the fatty's opinion, it was useless no matter what Lin Xian gave. Since it was like this, it was better not to waste the treasure. That might not be the case. I'm determined to get this spot. Just watch. After saying that, he stood up. I also have a treasure to give to the Grand Elder. Lin Xian's voice echoed in the hall. Countless people looked over. It's him. It's actually this kid. They recognized Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was the one who provoked Lei Qianzhong. In the end, he forced the first and third young masters to leave. It could be said that he had won the attention of countless people. This guy's identity was definitely not ordinary. What kind of treasure could he give? It's useless, no matter how good his gift was. Could it be better than the life elixir? That's right. Thinking about it, this guy should be aiming for that slot as well. But now, it seems that it's impossible. Humph! Lei Qianzhong also glanced at Lin Xian, revealing a cold smile. Competing with him in terms of treasures? The difference was too great. Previously, during the competition, he was suppressed by Lin Xian. Now he could finally get back at him. His companion beside him sneered. Kid, I advise you not to waste your energy. No matter what you take out, it can't be compared to my young master's elixir. That's right. This spot must belong to my young master. The first young master also chuckled. His eyes were cold. What does this fellow cultivator want to give? Why don't you open our eyes? Previously, when he saw Lin Xian's performance, he was also gnashing his teeth. Now that he could suppress Lin Xian, he was naturally willing. The third young master had the same expression. No one believed that Lin Xian's gift could surpass Lin Xian's. Chapter 35:16. Unless it was also a longevity pill and one with an even longer lifespan. However, this kind of longevity pill wasn't a cabbage, it was extremely precious. A single longevity pill was enough to make countless saints go crazy with envy. It wasn't easy for one to appear. How could there be a second one? They wouldn't believe it, even if they were beaten to death. The Supreme Elder didn't raise his head. He didn't even look at Lin Xian, because his gaze was locked onto the jade bottle in his hand. His attention was completely attracted by the longevity pill in his hand. Lin Xian didn't care about it at all. He said, This treasure of mine is incredible. As long as I take it out, no one can compare to it. No one can compare to it. What a joke. Can you compare to the longevity pill? Kid, stop bragging. Take out whatever you have. The first and third young masters mocked him. Lin Xian smiled. What I took out is really a longevity pill, and it's a 100-year longevity pill. What? Everyone went crazy. Lin Xian's voice reverberated throughout the hall. Furthermore, It was a medicinal pill that could increase one's lifespan by 100 years. How is that possible? They had thought of countless possibilities. They thought that Lin Xian was bragging, but they didn't expect him to have a longevity pill. Moreover, it was twice as old as Lei Qianzhong's. Impossible. Lei Qianzhong shook his head. A 100-year longevity pill. How could he have such a divine pill? He had spent a lot of effort to get it because he had come to the first astral boundary for two purposes. Firstly, he wanted to announce a big piece of news, and secondly, he had his own selfish motives. He knew that the Netherworld tribe was a family of blacksmiths, and he had a weapon crafting blueprint in his hand. He wanted the living fossil to help him craft a weapon. This weapon was extremely important to him, so he had to take out the longevity pill. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken out such a precious pill even if he was beaten to death. Now, someone had taken out the same pill, and its effect was twice as good as his. This was absolutely impossible. The first and third young master's expressions were extremely interesting. Soon, the first young master snorted coldly. What a joke! What do you think the Netherworld tribe is? Is he someone you can toy with as you wish? Men, throw this unreasonable person out for me. Immediately, someone walked over to them. This change was very sudden, so much so that everyone had yet to react. Lin Xian sneered. What? You want to kick me out? Sure, go ahead and attack. However, you old people will lose 100 years of your lifespan. Are you able to bear the consequences? As soon as these words came out, those who wanted to attack were all stunned. They really couldn't bear the consequences. That's impossible. You guys can't have that kind of medicinal pill. The eldest young master roared from behind. The martial artists in front hesitated, but at this time 9 Nether sweetly shouted out, Stop! What is this? The High Ancestor is still here. What right do you have to be so impudent? He quickly retreated. Hearing this, those martial artists instantly retreated. 9 Nether Yanran looked at Lin Xian. Young master, is what you said true? The patriarch beside her also raised his head with a look of disbelief in his eyes. A 50-year-old pill had already made him extremely excited. Now, there was one that could increase his lifespan by 100 years? He felt as if he was dreaming. Of course it's true. Lin Xian asked. I heard that whoever takes out the best treasure can make a request of the living fossil. She didn't know if this was true. This kid is indeed planning this. The surrounding people were also shocked. Although there was such a rumor, no one dared to mention it. If the gift you take out is the best, then I can agree to any of your requests. At this time, the living fossil personally spoke. Any of your requests. And he personally agreed to it. The surrounding people went crazy. Lei Qianzhong's lips curled into a smile. This was also equivalent to saying it to him. Moreover, he didn't believe that Lin Xian could take out something better than his longevity pill. All right, Grand Elder, take a look at what this is. Lin Xian flipped his hand and took out a jade box. The jade box was half the size of a palm and emitted a hazy light. Lin Xian slowly opened the jade box. There was a longan-sized pill inside, surrounded by countless runes of the Great Tao. A rich pill fragrance quickly wafted out. When the surrounding people smelled it, they were immediately intoxicated. Their eyes widened as they felt an incredible change in their bodies. I call it the super longevity pill. It can increase one's lifespan by 100 years. It's another longevity pill and a super longevity pill. It can increase one's lifespan by 100 years. Doesn't this mean that it's twice as effective as Lei Qianzhong's pill? My heavens, where did this kid get such a good thing? The Grand Elder's eyes lit up. He couldn't wait to grab the longan pill. He carefully sensed it and compared it with the pill in the jade bottle in his hand. In the next moment, he suddenly stood up. A terrifying holy aura exuded from his body. It was an energy that he couldn't suppress due to his excitement. There really was such a pill in the world. The Grand Elder was too excited again. He raised his head and stared at Lin Xian. Young master, Where did you get this pill? Do you have more? I'll take as many as you have. The surrounding people were in an uproar. Looking at the reaction of the living fossil could be true? It has the effect of increasing one's lifespan by 100 years? This old guy is quite greedy. Lin Xian rolled his eyes in his heart, but he didn't show any expression on his face. He said that he only had one of this in his hand, and it was also obtained from an ancient ruin. The living fossil sighed. Only one, but made sense. It was such a precious item. How could there be more? Now that there were two of them, it was already very heaven-defying. How was that possible? Damn it, I don't believe it. Lei Qianzhong's eyes widened. He couldn't accept it. The first and third young masters were also horrified. Lin Xian really had such a heaven-defying treasure. This time, the 9th Underworld clan had really struck it rich. Yes, no matter who came first, the living fossil was equivalent to an extra 150 years of lifespan. The surrounding elders were also extremely envious. This kind of pill that could increase one's lifespan was extremely tempting to anyone. 150 years. That was impossible. Lin Xian said, this kind of thing could only be eaten once. It wouldn't have any effect if it was eaten again. The meaning of his words was obvious. The living fossil could only choose one of the two. It was impossible to get two of these pills at the same time. The other's eyes turned red. If the living fossil chose the 100-year pill, then Lei Qianzhong's pill would be empty. Wouldn't they have a chance? Thinking of this, their eyes flashed. They must find a chance to get this pill. What was the Grand Elder's idea? Lin Xian said again, you're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.